has a breakthrough formula for your hair. Germac's new natural performance formula shampoos and conditioners. It's a breakthrough for naturals because they're formulated by Germac hair care experts. What's in them? A carefully selected combination of natural ingredients and botanicals, like vitamin E, silk protein, aloe, and 17 more I can't remember.
Try Germac's new natural performance formula.
It's a natural.
Chewy, 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 Nature Valley chewy. Chewy, chewy taste, chewy, chewy fun. Chewy, chewy goodness in every one. Chewy, 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 Nature Valley chewy. You know the bars.
With real creamy peanut butter or chocolatey chocolate chips. No additives or preservatives.
Chewy, 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 Nature Valley chewy. You know the bars.
Good taste makes good sense with Nature Valley.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's Impulse, the world's favorite all-over deo fragrance.
Gotta be there at 8, gotta illuminate. Got to be looking much better than brakes. Grab a classic color and a little more style. Looks like a Levi's corduroy night. Levi's corduroy night, looking good. It's a Levi's corduroy night. Looks like it's gonna be another Levi's corduroy night. A Levi's corduroy night.
This is one of 7 children from Gary, Indiana, who've gone on to become music's #1 family. It's this week's co-host, LaToya Jackson.
We build your pizza in the pan. Pizza Hut can. Now we got something special for you.
It's very hip and it's no drag. It's what we call our brand new bag.
Get the bag.
Get the bag for just $1 when you order a medium or large Pizza Hut pizza to eat here or to go.
It's very hip and it's no drag. For a $1, you get the bag. Get the bag. For a $1, get the bag. For a $1.
The bear's in the air, Central Washington State Fair. The bear's in the air, you can feel it everywhere. Feel the excitement, the fun goes on and on. Lots of shows, a rodeo, this time everywhere we go. The bear's in the air, Central Washington State Fair. The bear's in the air, Central Washington State Fair.
In your pursuit of the ultimate trivia game ever, play the trivia game with a twist. Jeopardy. It's almost as good as Wheel of Fortune. Are you kidding? We give away cash. You guys just give away prizes. Yeah, but maybe so. But I have Dana. Wheel and Jeopardy. Back-to-back winners. Weeknights.
Sounds like fun to me.
He's Charlie Johnson. He knows everybody in this neighborhood. That's why he volunteered to be part of the Carrier Alert program. And that's why he's concerned when sometimes things just don't look right.
Ms. Lombardo.
Mrs. Lombardo was all right, but a lot of people might not have been.
Hi, Miss Lombardo. I haven't seen you for several days, and I was a little worried about you.
There are thousands of letter carriers, United Way volunteers, making this service possible. For more information, contact your postmaster.
Ooh, will you look at that?
In more ways than one, you lead me on. You sweet talking, Betty Crocker.
Yeah, you know my weakness.
I can't resist. You leave me breathless.
You did it again.
With more than one way to my heart. Sweet talker, Betty Crocker. You wanna be a model, it's a nervous time for you. You're feeling so tense, but frame after frame, your style is coming through. Soft and dry roll-on will help hide when you're nervous inside.
Now Soft and Dry Roll-On has a special dry formula that dries super fast to fight nervous perspiration better than the leader.
Soft and dry roll-on will help hide when you're nervous inside.
Look at your hair. You need an Ace comb.
Watch how a genuine Ace hard rubber comb with rounded teeth glides smoothly and gently, while a plastic comb grabs and snags.
Your hair looks terrific.
No comb cares like an Ace, now in fashion colors.
I don't like your face.
Shaving irritates it. I need Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
It turns red-hot razor burn to cool comfort, smooths your face.
Smells great, too.
There's something about an Ice Blue Aqua Velva Man.
I've been told that men don't make passes at girls who wear glasses. But the question is, do girls who wear glasses make passes at men? When they're feeling pretty, they do. That's where Silky and shampoo and conditioner come in. My hair's funny. Dry on Monday, limp on Tuesday. Well, Silky and suggests to make my hair beautiful every day of the week. I don't know how it works, but it's never missed yet. Silkians, because you're always in the mood to feel beautiful.
It certainly is a big bun. It's a very big bun. Big, fluffy bun. It's a very big, fluffy bun.
Where's the beef?
Some hamburger places give you a lot less beef on a lot of bun.
Where's the beef?
At Wendy's, we serve a hamburger we modestly call a single. And Wendy's single has more beef than the Whopper or Big Mac. At Wendy's, you get more beef and less bun.
Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
You want something better. You're Wendy's kind of people.
Roll, roll. When you're on the go, when you're gonna win. The side is red as the loaf of life.
The body good, everybody depends.
All the good in every slice of sliders, the good bread. It's the loaf with life. There's a lot of life in every loaf.
I think that the many letters that the Les Schwab Company gets from the customers is the testimony of why it's nice to do business at the Les Schwab Tire Center. If one tire doesn't do a job, or if we put on a set of tires that ride rough, we do not hesitate to take off the full set and start all over again. It's why we continue to say, if we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
When you ride a Snapper High-Vac, you get a little something extra. The power of a huge vacuum cleaner. Because Snapper's patented deck traps the air, creating a tremendous vacuum that stands grass up for a beautiful, clean-cut lawn. And Snapper's High-Vac makes bagging a snap. Get the incredible Snapper mower that makes a clean sweep of your lawn. It's a snap with Snapper.
Sensational fall savings are on now at Western Farm Supply, Marlin Saw Shop, and Chick's Auto.
Bad and sportswear, bad and dresswear, bad. With everything from cotton to cashmere, if you care, you'll bother. Don't wear one without the other.
Van Roll-On. It's like an invisible layer of protection against wetness between you and your clothes. No leading spray can keep you as dry.
If you care, you'll bother. Don't wear one without the other.
Van Roll-On. You and your clothes can depend on it.
You're on the go, cause you know that you've got to show. You keep it moving, cause you just can't take it slow. Have a good time, do the great things. It's a good time, full of great taste from McDonald's.
Oh no! Get closer! Oh no! Get closer! When your close-up dance and close-up count, whiter teeth and a fresh mouth. It's the nicest thing that you can do. Do it for me and I'll do it for you. Oh no!
not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, people, come on, we're adults here. You know what?
adults.
What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay, next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know. This channel is harsh reality.
Kareniak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like this can't. No, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, cops and just like soccer moms and shit. Like that's what made it even crazier. Like,
yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of she was more of the prissy girl that likes going
That is
to
the best shit fucking
shopping for dresses with mommy. I was the tomboy that liked playing with the kids.
Shout out to Cherry for just being easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had. That someone could have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys. Oh man. Yeah, so I'm going to go over the rest of TurtleBoy's hearing from the 8th. I promised you guys I would do a part 2. I got nothing better to do at the moment until later on, but I figured I would hang out, spend the late afternoon with you guys, and I hope everybody is enjoying their weekend and are not totally overwhelmed by the thought of having to be at work tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys being here, and yeah, so fun stuff going on Twitter. And I see a lot of people. I've been getting a lot of love from people about TurtleBoy Aiden calling in on my last stream, and I appreciate all that love. I that was not planned. I'm really, really grateful to Olivia for joining me because that was extremely informative as I would hope, or as I hoped that it would be. So I'm very, very grateful to her for that. But yeah, I'm also extremely grateful to TurtleBoy for listening in and calling in, and me being able to like look at my special thanks to whoever was in chat that was like, check your phone, because I would have not gotten that phone call had I not checked my phone. So but it was really good to talk to him, man. It was really good to hear him in high spirits. It was great. Hey, there's Olivia. What's up? Thank you again. I get to say this directly to you. Thank you again for joining me, because it was as insightful as I hoped it would be. So I'm very grateful to you for joining me. And yeah, and it was super cool that Aiden was listening in and called in, and everyone got to hear him in good spirits, which I was really grateful for, because I was grateful to be able to hear him in high spirits, because jail, man, that can really break your spirit. If there's anything that can break your spirit, it is your basic freedoms being robbed from you. But luckily, he is not being moved. So it's and I mean, his spirit is not being broken. His direction is not being altered. So that's what I mean by that. So yeah. This Grant dude, man. Listen, I'm trying real hard, believe it or not, like the lack of engagement that you see coming from me on social media platforms, on Twitter specifically, the lack of engagement you see is a conscious effort. I don't like getting in back and forth with people, especially when someone's mind is absolutely made up, especially when there's confirmation bias just running rampant. So it's pretty, it's kind of like, beating a dead horse. You think that it's silly. You're running up a slippery hill, trying to convince someone who is not willing to listen to logic and reason to try to be logical, try to convince them to be logical and reasonable. So it's just impossible. So I've learned this. It took a lot of stubborn trying and I've learned this. So I really don't even bother most of the time. But I mean, I'm like, this dude straight up, like, I guess someone called him out for smoking weed, and can't even fucking talk about it without laughing. Someone called this Grant dude out for smoking weed in front of the courthouse. Okay. Now, that's not something I would call anybody out for. Honestly, if you want to smoke weed, I don't give a shit. If it's in front of a church, I don't give a shit. You know, but I guess that in part is why I thought it was so crazy that he felt the need to defend himself in the way that he did. Because, all right, so somebody, I mean, and honestly, like if you're nitpicking at things like that, just looking for, I mean, these people, a guy like Grant makes it easy enough for you to where you don't have to even point stuff like that out. Because, you know, but, I mean, it's just very funny to me. And so, you know, but the guy feels the need to defend himself by saying that he has a medical condition that smoking weed, specifically smoking it, somehow stops the condition that he has of his anus bleeding, a colon issue that he supposedly has. And, you know, no disrespect and no intention here of being insensitive to those who have this condition. But I also don't see you guys using weed as an excuse to stop the bleeding, because I've never known weed to be known as a clotting agent. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but when you do that, listen, and some people thought I was being mean, you know, by calling this out. Clever, stop, dude. If you're gonna eat your food, eat your food. Don't knock it over because I didn't put bacon grease in it this time, bro. Spoiled brat. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Like, it's going to sit there, and that's what you're going to eat because I don't have bacon grease to put on there today. So you got wet food mixed in there, and that's what you're going to eat. And you don't want to eat it, don't eat it, bro. Anyway, little ingrate. See, look, he's such a brat, dude. He's like smelling it, and then he's like trying to knock over the dish. I'm telling you, it is not in your best interest, my friend, to knock that dish over and dump the food out. Because that's the food you're going to eat, bro. You think I'm kidding? Think I'm rich? You hear this shit? Eat it, bro. Eat it. Eat the food. Then don't. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I don't know. I don't know how Grant thought that stating this very personal medical issue would somehow be considered an excuse for smoking weed in front of a courthouse. But when you put that personal medical issue out there for people like me to see it as an excuse for smoking weed, you're subject to jokes, bro. You're just subject to jokes. There's nothing that it's beyond me. I can't do anything about it. My hands are tied, okay? Like, I am going to make jokes about your asshole bleeding. I'm going to make jokes about your butt period. I'm going to make jokes about you sticking the bigger picker-upper in fucking balls into your ass to stop bleeding while you sit there fucking hitting a bomb. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, there's no, it's not in my DNA to do anything else with that type of information, bro. You know what I mean? You did that shit to yourself. You did that shit to yourself. Now you're the ass bleeder. You did that. I didn't do that. You're the ass bleeder. You're the stoned ass bleeder. Now, there's nothing I can do about that. You did that. I didn't do it. Nobody else on Twitter did it. You did it, bro. Okay? Just saying. So, anyway. But I digress. And you're going to do that full of a bunch of Boston locals, bro? Like people who have insults like you smell like hot dogs? And you're going to tell those people, that you smoke weed to stop your asshole from bleeding? Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Please, bro. You expect us to take you seriously as a journalist. Dude, if TurtleBoy did that, dude, like, I'd be like, bro, what are you doing, bro? I'd just sit there reading that. Like, I mean, how else am I supposed to react to that? How the fuck is anybody else supposed to react to that? Like, I am of the opinion that nobody needs any excuse to smoke weed. I am a patriot in the sense that I truly believe in freedom. I don't believe that you should go to jail for smoking fucking crack. You know what I mean? Like, if Janetti, if I saw body cam footage of Janetti sitting like in the corner side of the courthouse, fucking hitting a fucking crack fucking stem, I'd be like, well, he did that to himself. But at the same time, I'd be like, oh man, you're gonna take him to jail? You know what I mean? Like, come on, let the guy send him home. So go smoke crack at home. You know what I mean? Like, he's not hurting nobody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna sit here. If you smoke weed, you smoke weed. You like to smoke weed, that's your business. You like to smoke crack, that's your business. I don't give a shit. It's none of my business. I don't think that that's a jailable offense. It's just me. I realize other people have their own beliefs, but the fact that this dude felt the need to make this excuse to smoke weed, bro, like, he's a grown-up, dude. You're a grown-up. Like, that would have been my answer. Fuck off. That would have been my answer. Smoke weed. Fuck off. Now, if you don't want to, if you can't be smoking weed if you're trying not to go to jail, you know what I mean? And it's illegal, do what I do. Eat gummies, Dude, it's so rare that I actually smoke pot. Now, I consume pot quite a bit, but it's such a rare occasion that I actually smoke it. That's usually a social thing, but for my own personal use, I prefer to ingest it. It's cheaper. It lasts longer. It's more practical for me. So, I mean, but the last thing that I'm going to do is try to justify it with a bloody asshole. That's all I'm saying. Anyway. So I went over TurtleBoy's hearing, but I only went over like half of it, I think. I don't even know how much. I haven't even clicked on the part 2 of it. But I'm going to start it from the beginning of TurtleBoy's testimony. And then we're going to just go over that, and I'm just going to give my opinions as we go on. So.
Have you ever threatened her or tried to manipulate her decision on what to do with the alleged pregnancy?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And with respect to your involvement in the alleged pregnancy, what did you want to do, if it was true?
I was happy it was her decision because I am conflicted on the issue of abortion, and it was something I told her that I struggled with. And so, quite frankly, I was relieved that it wasn't my decision to make, that it's a woman's right to choose in this state. And so it was completely up to her. Whatever she supported, if she had the abortion, I wasn't going to tell her not to. If she was going to have the baby, I made it very clear to her that only one of us could have custody, and I would be applying for custody.
All right, so I got to say, I agree with TurtleBoy on this. I mean, I guess it's really, it's my choice to really express my opinion on this issue, but since it's up, I don't mind expressing it. But me personally, I'm pro-choice. But the reason why I'm pro-choice is because I personally, it's very simple. Never been a woman. Don't know what it's like to be a woman. Simple. I don't have any idea what it's like to be equipped with female reproductive organs, and so I don't think that men who have never experienced what it's like to have female reproductive organs and carry a baby should get to decide what women do with their bodies. Personally, me, I if it's my choice, which I don't believe it should be, but if it's my choice, there's a 99% chance that I'm going to say keep the baby, and then we deal and we go on. But the fact is I don't know what it's like to be a woman, so therefore I'm pro-choice. I don't think men should be making laws or have any say in any laws that have to do with women and what they do with their bodies. Simple. That's just how I feel about it. So a man's position in this situation, in my opinion, a moral position for a man to take is to allow a woman to make this decision and then support her in any way that you are capable of supporting her, in any way that she feels that you get to support her. Simple. Doesn't matter how well you get along. Doesn't matter any of that. None of that shit matters. In my opinion, if I'm in that situation, well then, Clubber, what are you doing, buddy? Knock it off. If I'm in that position, I'm leaving it up to her, and I'm just kind of going with the flow. If I gotta do what I gotta do, I got whatever I gotta pay for. I gotta pay for. That's just how it is. Now I don't think that a woman gets to dictate whether or not a father is in a child's life. I don't think that's the case. I think once you choose to bring that child into this world, that child is a human being at this point for sure, undebatable. And that child is just as much the man's child as it is the woman's. And that needs to be taken into consideration as far as decisions moving forward. But as far as a pregnancy goes, that is, in my opinion, a woman's choice. So everything that he said, I absolutely agree with. Well, if he doesn't pay child support and he's ordered to pay child support, well, then you take him to court. Simple.
Gattani engage in verbally abusive behavior towards you in the course of your relationship?
Throughout the relationship.
Just in a nutshell for the court, what does that consist of?
She would constantly yell at me, demean me, tell me that I'm a dweeb, tell me that I'm a loser, a piece of shit, that I'm a liar, I'm a manipulator. There was one incident in October in which she pretended we were coming home from a bar in Norwood, and she pretended she had to puke, and she got out of the car in Westwood and began running along a dark road.
Objection, Judge. It's the relevance of this story.
Next question. Next question.
What happened at a Halloween fundraiser in October of 2023?
I went there with Lindsay. I invited her, and towards the end of the night, she became aware that an ex-girlfriend of mine named Lauren had been sending people pictures of her at the event, and this was very upsetting to her. And so I attempted to smooth things over, and with her and
meaning Ms. Gattani.
With Ms. Gattani, yes. And we ended up.
Wait. I missed that. Hold on.
What was her reaction to that?
She hung up the phone. Okay, so I went to a Panera Bread in Worcester, and I waited there for her in case she changed her mind and she needed a ride home. She texted me at 9:30 a picture for what she purported to be the abortion clinic, saying she had second thoughts.
Let me just stop you right there.
Yeah.
So as an investigative journalist, you work with digital photographs and you use them all the time, right?
Correct.
Right. What were you able to find out with respect to the photograph from the Brookline clinic?
We were able to find out that the picture she sent me was from December of 2021. The metadata on it said.
All right. And did you talk to her about that?
At the time, I was still under the impression that she was actually at the clinic. She was deceiving me. And she told me that she was having second thoughts. I spoke to her on the phone. I said, you can do what you want, but the fact of the matter is that we live an hour away from each other, so only one of us can have custody.
And what was her reaction to that?
She hung up the phone and said she was going to do it. And then
Do what?
get the abortion.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then, so I spent the rest of the day in the Panera Bread, about 6 hours, texting her, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need a ride home? And I said, it's okay if you didn't do it, whatever you want, just, I'm here to support you. I called her several times that night, and I went to bed on the night of the 27th having no idea whatsoever if she was pregnant or not, or if she had gotten an abortion, because she was essentially just messing with my head. And so I had no idea.
Had you ever asked her for proof of this?
That she got an abortion?
Or that she was pregnant?
I have.
And did you ever get anything that was definitive proof?
No, everything she sent me never had dates on it. And she has 4 children, and she's had multiple abortions in the past. So
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained, that's certainly.
Okay. She 4 children. She has 4 children. So it is my belief that those pictures could have been from any of her 4 children. They didn't have a date.
I mean, yeah, I could see correcting that, but at the same time, I mean, I feel like it's relevant. You know what I mean? Like if she's had, abortions in the past, but I could see it being stricken from the record if it's not really the issue being discussed. But he cleans it up by making a really valid point, which is, okay, well, she has 4 children, so that picture could have been any one of her 4 children. The fact is that if she is expecting him to take some responsibility in this, well, he has a right to know if this child is his. So, I mean, that's just from a man's perspective, if somebody is, if their character is questionable and if their honesty is in question, and I mean, so I feel like it's a fair thing to question. You don't just take someone's word for it. Some women might be like, well, only an asshole would do that. That's okay, understandable if that person you happen to know is absolutely faithful and there's no way that they would have been sleeping with someone else or anything of that nature. I don't know how exclusive they were. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I still don't see a man not having a right to know if a child that is being carried by a woman that he's seeing is his. I mean, if she's expecting him to take responsibility for it, then he has a right to know. Nobody wants to be taking care of some other dude's baby unless he makes that choice that he wants to take care of another dude's baby. I mean,
A date on them. I had no idea where they're from. Now that we've analyzed the metadata on the pictures, we know that none of them, they're all from before I met her.
Objection, Your Honor. He's purporting to be some kind of digital
The
analyst.
rules of evidence don't apply here, Your Honor. It's within this ambit of this. So, Mr. Carney, just moving on in your history of your relationship with Ms. Catani, have you ever threatened her or tried to manipulate her decision on what to do with the alleged pregnancy?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And with respect to your involvement in the alleged pregnancy, what did you want to do, if it was true?
I was happy it was her decision because I am conflicted on the issue of abortion, and it was something I told you that I struggled with, and so quite frankly, I was relieved that it wasn't my decision to make, that it's a woman's right to choose.
I am absolutely conflicted on the issue of abortion. So by default, I am pro-choice. That that is the best way that I could put it. By default, I'm pro-choice because I'm conflicted on the issue of abortion. Clever's going nuts behind me.
Choose in this state, and so it was completely up to her. Whatever she supported, if she had the abortion, I wasn't going to tell her not to. If she was going to have the baby, I made it very clear to her that only one of us could have custody, and I would be applying for custody.
Did Ms. Gattani engage in verbally abusive behavior towards you in the course of your relationship?
Throughout the relationship.
Just in a nutshell for the court, what does that consist of?
She would constantly yell at me, demean me, tell me that I'm a dweeb, tell me that I'm a loser, a piece of shit, that I'm a liar, I'm a manipulator. There was one incident in October.
Okay, now, again, sticking to what matters here in this case, right? The question here is whether or not TurtleBoy was set up, whether or not these allegations were, whether or not these allegations against him were manufactured in order to get him locked up, in order to get him to be in a position of where bail is violated in some way. In terms of that, we have to be fair here. Okay. Realistically speaking, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say verbally, on a verbal level, I feel it's naive to assume that TurtleBoy did not engage in any verbal abuse himself. Okay. Although I do not consider myself an abusive man towards women, I have said some shit to women that is verbally abusive. Now, 99% of the time, it's because I felt like I was being abused. So I felt justified in saying the things that I've said. But realistically, I would say that I'm going to just assume that TurtleBoy probably said some things to this woman that he probably shouldn't have. But here's the thing, though. When we're looking at it from the perspective of how this is somehow affecting his case directly, right? If we're looking at it from that perspective, the question is whether or not she's a victim, right? Because whether or not TurtleBoy, and I believe realistically, I'm just going to assume he probably has said some shit to her that he probably shouldn't have said. But the fact is we heard a recording of her being verbally abusive. Okay? We heard a recording. So even though I'm sitting here and realistically assuming that at some point in their relationship, TurtleBoy has probably said some shit that he shouldn't have said to this woman, sure. I do not think that this woman is a victim. I do not believe her to be a victim, simply because she didn't act like a victim in the slightest bit. And I realize some people are like, oh, well, you don't even know. How do you know? How do you know? Well, what matters here is what can be proven, right? And I haven't seen any evidence that TurtleBoy is abusive towards this woman to the point to where she's afraid of him and needs a protective order. I haven't seen any evidence of that. I've seen evidence to the contrary of this. I've seen evidence to where he verbally stated, I want to leave, and she did everything in her power to manipulate him staying in that situation. This is not someone who gets to claim victim legally. I mean, if you're going to get a restraining order against someone based on accusations against them that they are abusive, well, don't beg them to stay in your house. Don't threaten the well-being of your own children in order to manipulate them into staying in your house. Sorry, I realize that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but that's my opinion. Plain and simple.
in which she pretended we were coming home from a bar in Norwood, and she pretended she had to puke, and she got out of the car in Westwood and began running along a dark road.
Objection, Judge. It's the relevance of this story.
Next question. Next question. What happened at a Halloween fundraiser in October of 2023?
I went there with Lindsay, I invited her, and towards the end of the night, she became aware that an ex-girlfriend of mine named Lauren had been sending people pictures of her at the event, and this was very upsetting to her. And so I attempted to smooth things over, and with her and
Meaning Ms. Canton.
with Ms. Canton, yes. And we ended up, I explained to her that I thought that, I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry, but I'm in a relationship with you now. I only want you. And I ended up going home with her and I stayed over her house.
Did she mention something about a Ring camera in her bedroom?
She did. She informed me about a week prior that she had been secretly recording us having sex.
Objection, Judge. Again, I don't understand the relevance of that question.
He tried to like cut that off. He doesn't want that judge hearing that shit. But it's pretty interesting.
It's the relevance of this story.
Hold on.
Next question. I wasn't going to tell her not to. If she was going to have the baby, I made it very clear to her that only one of us could have custody and I would be applying for custody.
Did Ms. Gattani engage in verbally abusive behavior towards you in the course of your relationship?
Throughout the relationship.
Just in a nutshell for the court, what did that consist of?
She would constantly yell at me, demean me, tell me that I'm a dweeb, tell me that I'm a loser, a piece of shit, that I'm a liar, I'm a manipulator. There was one incident in October in which she pretended we were coming home from a bar in Norwood, and she pretended she had to puke, and she got out of the car in Westwood and began running along a dark road.
Objection, Judge. It's the relevance of this story.
Next question. Next question. What happened at a Halloween fundraiser in October of 2023?
Sorry, I had to rewind it so far.
I went there with Lindsay, I invited her, and towards the end of the night, she became aware that an ex-girlfriend of mine named Lauren had been sending people pictures of her at the event, and this was very upsetting to her. And so I attempted to smooth things over, and with her and
Meaning Ms. Canton.
with Ms. Canton, yes. And we ended up, I explained to her that I thought that, I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry, but I'm in a relationship with you now. I only want you. And I ended up going home with her and I stayed over her house.
Did she mention something about a Ring camera in her bedroom?
She did. She informed me about a week prior.
Watch.
That she had been.
Watch. Did she mention anything about a Ring camera in her bedroom? Now, right here, her lawyer is quick.
Secretly recording us having
Objection, Judge.
Objection, Judge. Why didn't you object to the question?
Again, I don't understand the relevance of that question. Yep.
It's absolutely relevant. It's absolutely relevant. I'll explain why it's relevant. It's relevant because one of her accusations and one of her reasons for getting this restraining order is claiming that he's planning on revenge porn. He's planning on using pictures against her, and she's afraid that with the reach that he has over the public, that he's going to humiliate her with private pictures that were taken and blah, blah, blah. But here TurtleBoy is saying, well, she recorded me without my knowledge. I didn't know she was recording our deeds in the bedroom without my knowledge. I just didn't know that she was doing that. So it's absolutely relevant if the person who's accusing me of this horrible behavior and saying that that they're worried that I'm going to release these pictures of her in a compromised position. Well, this person is recording me without my knowledge of us in these acts in the bedroom. And if somebody's capable of doing that, if somebody's capable of making these recordings, well then, yeah, Olivia is making a great point. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Why wouldn't the person who's capable of doing this, recording me without my knowledge, what is she going to use that for? For what? Now, she could just use it for her own personal pleasure. Sure. For her own personal viewing pleasure. Sure. But the fact that she was willing to do it in secret means to me that she's capable of using that for anything. I mean, anything. So that's going to make me uncomfortable. It's the whole reason why you can't do that without someone's consent or knowledge. So, and Olivia made a really good point here. Let me go back here. Hold up. If she has all these Ring cameras in her home, why doesn't she have Ring camera footage of Aiden allegedly assaulting her? Yeah. So where's that footage? Why didn't she provide that to her lawyer immediately? I mean, that's what I would do. I would be like, case closed. If I had all these Ring cameras around my house and all of this assault was taking place, well, then guess what? The first thing I'm going to do is be like, here, attorney that represents me, that I'm paying shit tons of money through the nose to represent me in court. Here is the evidence. The exact same thing that Aiden did with Bradel. Here is all of the evidence that I have that proves that she is lying. Why didn't she do that? Interesting.
Camera, can you please continue?
Yeah, I was unaware that there was a Ring camera videotaping us, and she informed me of it on I believe it was around October 19th. And she then sent me 3 videos of us having sex in her room. And prior to that, I had no idea that there was a Ring camera or that it was recording us. And there was audio and video.
And is it fair to say that after that point, was there sexting videos going back and forth between the two of you?
We did that throughout the relationship. We were constantly sending sexual pictures of each other back and forth.
Okay. Was that something that was disapproved of her or discouraged or that she didn't like anyway as she may have expressed it to you?
No, she loved it. We both did.
Now, you said that in November, it came to your attention that she was saying she was pregnant, right?
November 9th, correct.
And was she saying in the written record, the Facebook text record, that you were forcing her to get an abortion?
She constantly told me I was forcing her to get an abortion, something that she said she was morally opposed to doing. And I repeatedly told her, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I don't have the ability to force you to do anything. It's a woman's right to choose in Massachusetts.
Did you ever try to force her, cajole her, manipulate her into doing anything relative to this alleged pregnancy?
Absolutely not.
Now, if I had to speculate, okay, if I had to speculate as to why she feels that he's forcing her to get an abortion, it's because he stated earlier that he would be filing for custody of this child should she choose to keep it. So that right there, I mean, to me, is extremely telling. Because why would you be afraid to do that? Like, any woman who is actually pregnant and looks at the fact that she's pregnant as an issue that she's going to be dealing with in her life and telling the father and trying to move forward with this with the father, that's going to be secondary to what that woman is going to do with this child, meaning that this woman is going to, okay, it's either I'm going to decide to abort this pregnancy, or I'm going to take care of this child. She is not going to perform an abortion out of fear that the father of this child is going to file for custody, and she's going to have to deal with a custody battle. That would be not even. That would be okay. Well, then whatever. I'm going to have my baby, and plain and simple, and whatever. Get your lawyer. I'll see you in court. No woman would be like, oh fuck. Well, I have to get an abortion, or else you're gonna fucking take me to court. That's insane. That's insanity. That's insanity. But of course, I'm just speculating based on the things that I've heard. So I just don't see, I mean, and the fact that there's this Ring camera issue, and we know that the Ring camera thing is a real thing. He didn't, I mean, whether or not he knew about it or not is in question. That's his word against her, against hers. But she sent him video of the two of them. But I would think that someone like this, and this is just me, okay? This is just me. I'm also speculating here. If she, based on the nature of the arguments that the two of them seem to have, if she had proof based on all of the other arguments that we've heard about, and we even heard portions of one argument, if she had proof through those Ring cameras that he assaulted her, wouldn't she send those videos to him and say, hey, I have proof that you are a woman beating piece of shit. And this is going to go all over Twitter. This is going to go all over. All of your viewers are going to know exactly the piece of shit that you are. Why wouldn't she do that? She sent video of the two of them engaged in coitus. But she doesn't have any video proof or audio proof, anything of an assault. Wouldn't she be like, if she had that in her ammunition, wouldn't she send that to him and go, I got you, motherfucker, in the heat of all of these arguments that they've been having? Or at the very least, present those in court, as I stated earlier? So, no, I don't believe that TurtleBoy assaulted this woman. Based on these speculations, no, I don't believe that TurtleBoy assaulted this woman.
Now, Ms. Gattani has expressed a fear, an alleged fear here of vulnerability with respect to DCF and her children.
Correct.
And have you ever done anything to publicize her problems with DCF and her children?
I have not.
To your knowledge, is anyone but Ms. Gattani responsible for her problems with DCF and her children?
No, just her.
So in late November of 2023, did Ms. Gattani tell you that she had elected to have an abortion?
She did. She ended up, after ignoring me all day on the 27th, she actually posted in the Norwood Moms Facebook group looking for a babysitter to come the next day while actively ignoring me. She showed up to my court date in Stoughton, and we met up at the Dunkin' Donuts.
Sorry, I got distracted. Scott McGinnis super chatted and said, cry havoc and let sip the dogs of war. Aiden will be scorched earth policy upon his release. No mercy, no amnesty. Yeah, it's looking that way for sure. Thank you, Scott McGinnis. Patty K says women who lie about DV make it harder for real victims. Domestic violence is no joke and nothing to mess around about. I agree. I completely agree. Thank you, Patty K. Appreciate that.
Words, and I asked if she did it, and she said yes, and she started crying, and I consoled her, and I told her it was going to be okay, and that I'm here for her, and she was very upset about it, and I said, and then she asked me if we could be in a relationship, and I said, we'll see. I'd like to be, but let's see where it goes. And
now,
next week,
mind you, I'm trying to keep in mind, and I'm trying to separate the he said, she said shit, which there's a lot of here. I'm trying to separate that from, my opinions. I encourage everyone here because I mean, listen, I like TurtleBoy. I think that he's in jail for bullshit fucking reasons for sure. No doubt in my mind about that. But when it comes to these personal things, I think it's important that we all take what both sides are saying with a grain of salt. It's very important. Like the little things in regards to the details in their relationship, certain of those things I don't think are relevant and really none of our business. And it really sucks that these things are made so public. But I think the responsible thing to do is just try to pick the things that actually are relevant to whether or not TurtleBoy was railroaded and put in this position. Because that's one of the things that really bothers me. I've said this before, is the fact that we have to know all of these personal details in his life. But unfortunately, these things, hearing everything is necessary in order to make an overall decision and form an overall opinion of whether or not he's being railroaded. Thank you, Carrie Ann Callahan. Patty K, 100%. And for the real victims, it's most insulting to muddy the process as it is so hard to prove in court of law as it is. Right. Exactly. And that's not to take away from this alleged victim, because it is very difficult to prove. It is very difficult to prove. But it's not, in my opinion, if you have Ring cameras that are active all the time. That's how Ring cameras work. They're always active. So if you have these Ring cameras all the time in your house, it shouldn't be that difficult to prove. It shouldn't be at all. So I'm just not seeing. I'm leaning to the conclusion that TurtleBoy was not in any way physically abusive to this woman, or a physical threat to her, even based on these things, based on these facts that we're hearing. If she has Ring cameras all over her house, I'm going to assume they're all over her house. If they're in her bedroom, why the fuck are they in her bedroom? For what purpose? So I'm going to assume that they're not just in her bedroom, but in other parts of the house as well. And even still, if there are arguments taking place, voices are elevated, and you would at least be able to catch audio to some degree. But none of this has been presented by her or her attorney to prove, even though it's on her, the burden of proof is on her that he's abusive, to prove that he's abusive. So, I mean, I'm just not seeing it yet.
She constantly told me that she was traumatized from the abortion, that it was my fault, that I made her do something she did not want to do, that I forced her to do it. And I said, I didn't force you to do anything. And that would really upset her when I told her that I didn't force her to do it. She would scream at me and say, yes, you did. You made me do this. Don't you dare effing say that. And I was frightened of her at this point. And this is how most of our conversations go.
And then at some point, did she shift gears away from the notion that she had terminated the pregnancy?
On December 5th, she got especially upset with me. And she told me, guess what? I didn't have the abortion. I was lying to you to see how you would react. And I'm so glad now because I'm keeping it. And I was very
Facts, Carrie Ann.
shocked by
Thank
this,
you.
that I've been deceived for a whole week about her having an abortion.
Facts.
And
Appreciate
she
that,
asked me
Carrie
to
Ann.
meet her the next day on December 6th. So I agreed to meet her at a parking lot in a town called Boylston at the Dragon 88. And we met there around noon to discuss, because she said she was still going to get an abortion now that she's back to being pregnant. So
Let me stop you right there and ask you another question. Did, at this general time period in your relationship, did Ms. Gattani engage in behavior that was inconsistent with how a responsible pregnant person would conduct himself?
Object to form, Your Honor.
Right. Yeah, that's the big question here. That's the big question here. Because this is this very sarcastic yet very important comment made by Kathy Murphy here is it leads to the big question. Kathy Murphy says, I wasn't scared until Tully told me I was. Right. Because nothing indicates that she was scared. And so the big question here is, why was the subject of her being so scared to go file a temporary restraining order against TurtleBoy? Why did that happen right after she met with both Tully and Ken Mello? Why did that happen? Why all of a sudden? And why do these people who have an invested interest in shutting TurtleBoy up, why did they interfere in that personal relationship between the two of them? Why did this development in their personal relationship take place right after Ken Mello and Tully met up with her? So, I mean, that's another reason why I'm coming to the conclusion that I don't believe that she was scared of him in the slightest bit.
So you were, I'll lay some foundation if I may, Your Honor. You were skeptical about whether or not she was pregnant at all by this point.
Object to form, Your Honor.
Just trying to lay the foundation.
We'll leave it.
I'll withdraw. What's your state of mind with respect to the truthfulness of her testimony and her position with you at the time?
Now, keep in mind, in part one, we went over this. It was her testimony. It's her that confirmed on the stand in front of a judge to the judge that she had met up with Mello and Tully prior to the incident in question. It was her. So it's not a question of, in case people are watching and wondering, well, how do we know that she met up with Ken Mello and Tully? How do we know that? Well, because she testified to it. In part one, we watched it. She testified to it. So.
Being pregnant.
I began to doubt anything she said at that point because she lied about having an abortion.
And what contributed in terms of her behavior to you further doubting it?
Because she sold it so well. I mean, she did a tremendous job of pretending to be traumatized from this, crying to me on the phone.
And let me just stop you because I don't think you understand the question. I'll ask you a better question. The question is, what was her behavior that added to your skepticism about her being actually pregnant?
Well, every time I see Lindsay, she's drunk. She gets drunk.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
It's absolutely relevant.
It's
absolutely relevant. How is that not relevant? How's that not relevant? If you're going to accuse someone of being abusive, right? Because I guarantee you it would be relevant if TurtleBoy was a drinker. If people were sitting here accusing him of being abusive, the fact, if he were a drinker, the fact that he was a drinker being brought up would absolutely play a factor in whether or not he was abusive. It absolutely would, no doubt in my mind. So why isn't it relevant if he brings it up? There's a double standard here. I mean, right. From a woman's perspective, it's probably relevant if she's probably not pregnant. Absolutely. Absolutely. If she's pregnant and she's drinking, I mean, come on.
She was claiming to be pregnant, yet we would go out drinking. She would have 4 or 5 drinks, get blackout drunk.
There you go.
And when I saw her on December 6th and I met her in that parking lot, she was very upset and was kicking. We sat in her minivan and she kicked pedals in her car in anger at me. And she said, "I'm drunk right now." And she pulled out a water bottle that was filled with vodka. And then she said, "I have to go pick up my kids at daycare now."
What?
So, were you trying to break up with her?
Now, what's really funny about that is let's explore that for a second. So, according to Aiden right now, he says, "Well, he's like, I get in the minivan. We drank all the time. I thought that was weird because she was claiming to be pregnant." Then she says he confronts her about this when he gets in her minivan and he accuses her of accuses her of drinking or she regardless says, yeah, I'm drunk right now, and pulls out a water bottle filled with vodka. Now, I would take that absolutely with a grain of salt. I'd be like, TurtleBoy, man, you're reaching. You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy thing to accuse someone of. When you think about it, you go, what the fuck? You're seriously, this is a woman, a mother of 4 children, and you're accusing her of being drunk, admitting to you, flaunting the fact that she's drunk. You're accusing her of this, and then pulling out a water bottle filled with vodka so that she won't get pulled over for drinking vodka straight out of the vodka bottle. So she puts it in a container that she can disguise as water, and then tells you that she has to go now pick up her kids. That's outrageous. That's fucking outrageous. I'd be like, whoa, if I didn't hear a recording of that very same person threatening to put her children in direct danger by waking them up out of bed, putting them in her car or in her minivan, driving over to his house, sitting in his driveway while abortion pills take effect, and performs a self-abortion in his driveway to make a point. If I didn't hear her with my own ears threaten to do this, I would think that what he's saying right here is absolutely fucking outrageous. I'd be like, oh, dude, TurtleBoy, dude, you're reaching, bro. You're reaching. But the problem with that is I heard her with my own ears threaten to wake her children up out of bed, put them in her minivan, drive over to his house, sit in the driveway while abortion pills take effect. I heard that with my own ears. So therefore, what he's accusing her of here and what he's stating here is not so outrageous. It would be, but sorry, I heard it with my own ears.
I was trying, as I said, why would you want to be in a relationship with me? This is clearly I upset you, and that just made her more angry. The more I tried to leave her, the more angry she got.
Did you use the word toxic?
Yes.
Now, again, this is a separate incident where he's saying the more I tried to leave her, the more upset she got. Again, that would be he said, she said bullshit, unless I heard with my own ears a recording of her trying to manipulate a man who was trying to leave and get him to stay. I would not be I would be like, that's he said, she said bullshit. But the problem with that is I heard with my own ears a recording of her manipulating him in every way she possibly could, including the tactic, applying the tactic of waking up her children and putting them in some sort of at least emotional danger. So that's not so outrageous. I heard it with my own ears. I heard her do this. So in this particular case, a separate incident that he's describing, I am inclined to believe him. I am absolutely inclined to believe him because I heard a recording of her in a separate incident doing exactly what he's describing here.
Now, moving up to December 7th, did she re-engage with you relative to this pregnancy and another issue with this alleged pregnancy?
Yes.
What was
it? She said that she had an appointment at the clinic in Brookline on December 8th, and she needed a ride home again.
You mentioned that earlier,
This is
correct?
the second time.
Okay, this is another time. Sorry, go ahead.
So the first time was November 27th, and that didn't happen. And then she said she was going to do it on December 8th and needed a ride home. And she asked me to sleep over that night because just to comfort her, and I agreed to do that.
Did you do that?
So she changed her mind on December 8th. She said, I'm not going to go to the clinic. I'm going to take the abortion pill. And apparently how that works is she said that she took one pill in the morning in front of the doctor. That's what she said. And that she has to take the other 4 at night. And apparently she said that the first one terminates the pregnancy. The 4th one extracts the fetus. And so she said, it's painful, and I need you here with me in case I am in pain or need to go to the hospital. So I agreed to sleep over her house on December 8th.
At this point, what's your state of mind about whether this is a fantasy or whether it's true?
I had, honestly, I was leaning towards she's not pregnant. I was asking other women about this, what do you think of this, asking their opinion, and they all told me this is inconsistent with behavior of a pregnant woman.
In the course of her trying to get you to stay there, did a verbal dispute arise between the two of you about whether you were going to stay there with her or whether you were going to go work?
So on this, the whole purpose of me being there was she was going to take the 4 abortion pills that night. We woke up at 5:30 the next morning and she said, I forgot to take the pills. And I said, well, it's 5:30. You can take them now if you want. And she said, no. She started screaming at me. She pretended to flush the pills down the toilet. And she started just berating me like she always does, telling me I'm a scumbag, and said that you have to come back tonight. I mean, this is now Saturday. She said, you have to come back tonight.
What was your answer to that?
I said, I can't come back tonight. I have my show.
And what do you mean when you say you have your show?
So
What's
Lindsay
that?
knows that I do a live show. It's my job, my livelihood.
Is that on Facebook?
YouTube, every Tuesday and Saturday nights.
And that's, how did she react when you told her that you had to do that?
She became enraged, furious. She texted me close to 100 times in the next few hours, including during the show, in which she sent threatening messages. She called me before the show started, and she said that she was going to, quote, drop that fetal alcohol baby off at your house and go party the night away. She then told me that she was going, because I was ending things with her and not coming over, that she
react when you told her that you had to do that?
She became enraged, furious. She texted me close to 100 times in the next few hours, including during the show, in which she sent.
Okay, so that's provable. If she texted him, that's provable. So he's claiming she did this over 100 times, and while he was on his show, while he was live doing his show.
Threatening messages. She called me before the show started, and she said that she was going to, quote, drop that fetal alcohol baby off at your house and go party the night away.
Okay, drop the fetal alcohol. This is very consistent to the recording that we heard that I just described. But she said, I'm going to drop that fetal alcohol baby off at your house and then go party the night away. What? I mean, again, I'd be like, dude, you're reaching, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, no woman says that. No fucking woman says that. Except for, I happen to know somebody who said something somewhat similar, but I'm not going to jump to, even then, when I heard this woman say that, I was like, what the fuck? No woman says that. And what's funny is I told people about it. They didn't believe me. I wouldn't believe them either, unless I heard a recording of her saying something almost exactly along those lines. We all heard it. It's outrageous. It's such an outrageous thing to say that if all I had was his word to go on, I still wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, no woman says that shit. That's crazy. No woman says that. But I heard her say something almost exactly along those lines. So, yeah.
She then told me that she was because I was ending things with her and not coming over, she said, if you think 9 felonies are bad, wait till you see what's coming next. And apparently that is this.
At some point, did you become aware that she was communicating with members of the Albert and McCabe families and their supporters?
Thank God.
It was December 9th.
I get so relieved when we get past this shit, because like, even though it's necessary, you know, as far as credibility of the person who's accusing him, even though it's necessary, I get so relieved. I'm like, okay, now we're getting into the Tully. Excuse me. Now we're getting into the Tully and Mellow stuff. Like, I get so relieved because I'm like, fuck. I just want to get past this.
At some point, did you become aware that she was communicating with people that were adverse to your investigation in the Reed case?
I did.
And give the court a brief nutshell about that.
Well, a woman by the name of Kate Peter, who is a woman who is somewhat obsessed with me and just focuses her life on me, she began to put tweets out about very sensitive personal information that I had only told Lindsay. And one particular thing involved my 8-year-old daughter. I had made she posted something out to the effect of Aiden's doesn't bond well with his daughter. He doesn't even love her. And I had previously had a conversation with Lindsay in which I said that it was easier to bond with my son because we have more in common than it was with my daughter. She also posted, I was signed to do a documentary. I've signed with a major production company out of Los Angeles and partnered with another company in Boston. And I had told her on November 21st the names of the 2 producers, Eric Levy and Charlie Siskel. And on somewhere around December 13th or 14th, Kate Peter posted the names Charlie Siskel and Eric Levy, and that they were doing the documentary. And she is known to harass people that are associated with me. And as a direct result of that, the documentary was put on hold.
All right. So at that point, it's fair to say that you had a strong suspicion that she was the one, Ms. Gattani was the one that was feeding this information to Ms. Peter, who regularly attacks you online.
That's correct.
Did Ms. Gattani admit to you that she was in communication with the lead policeman who was prosecuting you and the special ADA that was appointed to prosecute you?
She told me that when I was over her house on the 23rd.
Did she say what the topic of her communications with them was relative to you?
Correct. Yes, she did.
What was it?
She said that when she spoke with Ken Mello, that she apologized and said, I only went to them out of anger. If I could take it back, I would. I'm so sorry. And I forgave her because I felt like she was doing the right thing. And I said, it's okay. I forgive you, and we can fix this. It's gonna be okay. And
Before we move on.
Okay, so I had to IMDb it. Now Eric Levy comes up as a producer of the Tinder Swindler, which was a huge Netflix documentary. It was like #1 for a while. Nothing came up under Charlie Sisko in IMDb, but I looked up Eric Levy, and so yeah, on Netflix, The Tinder Swindler was a huge documentary. Like I said, it was #1 for a while. I remember watching it.
On there, you saw a reference in her affidavit about how you wanted to control the involvement of the lawyer that you were offering to help her with, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Is that true?
No.
What did you say to her, just in general, about offering to help her in terms of getting a lawyer to get her out of this when she came to you in that regard?
Lieutenant Tully had specifically told her, he went to her and said.
Hold on. Where are you getting that from?
From her.
Okay.
So
What did she tell you? Tully told you.
When Lieutenant
her.
Tully came to her house, he said, I just came from court with Aiden. He has his new girlfriend there. He replaced you real quick.
Okay, so Charlie Siskel, that comes up. Charlie Siskel is an Academy Award nominated and Emmy nominated TV and film writer, director, and producer. His work in film includes the documentaries Bowling for Columbine, Religulous, and Finding Vivian Mayer. Among his TV credits are The Awful Truth with Michael Moore, Crossballs, Important Things with Dimitri Martin, Tosh.0, and Review. Siskel, a former lawyer, lives in Los Angeles. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of putting 2 and 2 together here. I'm getting as to why they put this shit on hold. I mean, yeah, I get it. But yeah, you know, when you have, this is just my opinion, folks. When you have, now, if they had put this on hold after TurtleBoy had these accusations take place, I could see them not wanting to put their names behind something like that in a climate where someone even smells like they could be perpetrators of something like domestic violence. They're not going to put their name behind someone like that and paint them in a positive light. Because who knows, even after this thing is released, if that accusation comes up and they could have avoided it, it's bad for business. So I get that. I think it's a little cowardly, but I get it. You know, from a business standpoint, it makes sense that they would be like, no, wait a minute. But I'm also of the opinion that if the documentary subject matter is solely about the John O'Keefe Karen Reed case, TurtleBoy, it would be irresponsible to not cover him and the work that he's done in that case. In order, you can't tell that story without telling the TurtleBoy story, basically. I mean, that it's just how it's just what it boils down to. You can't thoroughly tell that story without telling TurtleBoy's story, simply because because of his investigations and discoveries in that case, because of the public attention that it's getting, things of this nature. It has to be. You can't tell that story properly without making TurtleBoy part of that subject matter. But if the story is solely about TurtleBoy, okay, all right, I think it's cowardly, but I could see it from a business standpoint as to why they would be like, nah, that's a bad idea.
And he also went on, apologize, what was the original?
So
I have to strike that last name. It's unresponsible question. Next question.
Okay.
what did she tell you that the police were there and the prosecutor were in communication with her for?
That she said that she went to them out of anger, and she was worried that I would post naked images of her or something like that, and that Ken Mello told her, we will make you a witness in this trial, so that way he can't write about you. And there will be witness intimidation if he does.
Okay. Okay. So he's stating that she told him that Ken Mello said, we will make you a witness in this case so that he cannot write about you. So they basically bribed her. They basically, it's somewhere in between blackmail and bribery. Yeah, to me, it's somewhere between blackmail and bribery to dangle that in front of her, to say, hey, if you are listed as a witness, we can make sure that he can't do that because he'll be breaking the law if he does. That's got to be unethical.
Did she tell you whether or not they wanted her phone?
Yes, she said that.
And let's not forget that Mello, in a very public interview, stated that the reason why Norfolk County DA assigned him to TurtleBoy's case was because he doesn't have to answer to the DA. He's a special prosecutor, right? So he doesn't have to answer to the DA. He stated this. He bragged about it. He said, well, they hired me because I don't have to answer to anyone. So he could play all these dirty angles and then he's solely responsible, which would make sense as to why they picked him with such a poor record as a lawyer. It would make sense that they would appoint him to this case because his hands are already dirty. It's a miracle this guy hasn't been disbarred yet based on what we know about this guy already. So for him to be able to, for the DA to effectively assign a prosecutor who can pull all of this dirty shit, well, they're going to hire a special prosecutor, which keeps their hands clean, where they don't have to be held accountable for his actions. And they get somebody. How do they get somebody to be able to do that? Well, it's somebody with nothing to lose. Ken Mello has nothing to lose. Ken Mello's been reprimanded at least twice that we know of by the bar, by the Massachusetts Bar Association. So we know that he's been reprimanded at least twice. He's the slackest shit lawyer there is. So he can do this dirty shit. He has nothing to lose. Who knows what they're paying him to do it? But at the end of the day, I doubt that there will be any that Ken Mello being assigned to this case in the circumstances that surround him or led up to him being assigned to TurtleBoy's case as a prosecutor. I doubt that that's going to hold any water as far as the federal investigation goes, any more than something to bring up and tell a jury. In other aspects, something else to help prove their case. But I don't think that they can actually charge the DA with this, with any type of misconduct or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I would assume that this is a way for the DA to be able to keep their hands clean. But I feel like at best what the federal authorities who are investigating Michael Morrissey's office can do is use this aspect as something to help convince a jury that these people's tactics are very, very shady.
He was demanding her phone, and he was giving her two options. Either she could,
Who's he?
Lieutenant Tully was demanding her phone, and that either she could hand over her phone to him to download, or they could sit next to each other and she could screenshot our entire conversation and send it to him. And He did not have a warrant to do this, and I advised her to get an attorney.
And with respect to this business about you being done with Ms. Gattani and having another girlfriend in the court, and that you were done with Ms. Gattani, was any of that true?
No, that was a complete lie on part of Lieutenant Tully.
What did Ms. Gattani tell you that she said to the officers about giving up the phone?
She said she didn't want to give up the phone. And this is the reason she had ultimately kind of come back to me, was that she said that she was just angry and didn't want to, she just did it out of anger. But now that she got a summons and now that they wanted her phone, she was freaking out and didn't know what to do. So she came back to me looking for comfort and offered her all this information up to Tully.
So it's fair to say that at that particular point in time, circumstances changed to suit her to go back to you for assistance.
Correct.
Yeah, it was her own lawyer that did it too. That's what's really funny. We went over this in part 1. She was actually caught with her phone after saying she didn't have it. Right. And it was her own lawyer that outed her. Said, you just took a phone call from your child's daycare just before the proceedings started. Did you not? Like trying to paint her out to be a good mom, and it just made her look like a liar.
Did she report to you what Lieutenant Tully told her about whether she should have a lawyer for this grand jury?
She did.
What did he say?
She said that she does not need a lawyer, and that in 99.9% of grand juries, witnesses do not have attorneys with them.
Did she ever say anything to you about what exactly they wanted her to testify about?
She did.
What was that?
They wanted information about Karen Reed. They wanted information specifically about the FBI investigation into Lieutenant Tully. And they wanted information about Karen Reed's relationship with United States Attorney Josh Levy, and whether or not I had been paid by the Karen Reed defense team to write favorable
Judge, objection
stories
for
about
relevance.
What's the relevance of this, Mr. Bradley?
Your Honor, it presents a full picture of the relationship. It directly contradicts her affidavit, and it shows her credibility, such as it is.
There's a difference between a full picture and giving way beyond the sort of context and backstory that is necessary. And
Sustained. Next question.
thank you.
Did Ms. Gattani send you a picture of this summons?
She did.
And what happened with respect to that?
We spoke on the phone about it, and she said that she wanted me to come over that night. And I then contacted you about it. I wasn't sure if it was real or not, and you advised me not to. And I told her, my attorneys told me not to come over there, and so I can't come over tonight.
Did she say whether what she was going to do in retaliation to that?
She said that she was going to have to, I forget her exact wording, but something to the effect that she was going to have to do what she needed to do, to benefit herself.
Did she say whether or not she was going to disclose her alleged pregnancy?
She did. She told that she was going to tell the grand jury about the baby.
Objection again, Judge, for relevance.
Judge, this is the relevance would be just that she's luring him over to the house in contradiction to her affidavit. Is this when she gave you some details on how she was cooperating with the other side, so to speak, in the Reed case?
Yes, later on, I wondered how Tully would even know who she is. She's a random.
Call for yes or no answer.
So yes.
So yes.
And so, Judge, just in the interest of time, I'm just going to move on from that, but I believe that was already fleshed out. And is that when she engaged in her apologies, as we discussed on cross-examination?
Yeah, we spoke on the phone, but originally on Facebook and then on the phone from about 12:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. in which she was crying and saying how sorry she was. And she seemed genuinely empathetic, and I felt bad for her. I really did, even though she had done me wrong and betrayed me. I still felt empathy for her because she was in a tough situation, and I was willing to help her out.
I mean, what you've testified to is basically a shakedown of a
Objection.
woman.
To stay.
Did you feel sympathy for Ms. Katani?
Absolutely, I did. I felt nothing but sorrow for her. My heart broke for her, and I told her that I loved her.
So I asked you earlier about what the police asked her, and you mentioned some things about their interest in the Reed investigation with respect to the FBI. But my question now is, did Ms. Katani ever tell you anything about what these officers may have wanted her to testify to about an investigation into you?
She said that actually that she didn't think they were looking for me so much as they were looking for Karen Reed, because she knew.
Judge, objection. Again, relevance.
Did she ever report anything to you about why they wanted her to testify about you and an investigation into you?
Yes, she said that she had been telling them about my relationship with Karen Reed, that her and I had spoken before, and they believed that Karen Reed might have told me something about the grand jury investigation into them, and that I might have told Lindsay, who might offer that information to them.
Sure, but that's really just still information about the other case. Was there ever any report from Ms. Katani about what Tully and the other guy wanted her to testify to about you?
Yeah, they wanted to know about whether or not I was being paid off, whether or not my Lexus was received for free.
By who though?
By Karen Reed's brother.
By people involved in the Reed case.
Correct.
So again, I'm going to ask you again, relative to you and any criminal behavior by you.
No, to my knowledge, she never talked about my case. It was all the Karen Reed case.
Take a lunch and recess, 2:00.
Court, all right.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. I had to step away there for a second. All right. So okay. So that's all I have actually, because this was sent to me twice. I thought there was a second part, but this was sent to me twice. So that's actually all I have on that. So I mean, it's funny to hear them try to argue the relevance, because I get her attorney's point. Every time Karen Reed's brought up, her attorney will go objection relevance. Okay, understood. Objection relevance understood. Because they're trying to keep the Karen Reed thing out of it. But the thing is it's absolutely relevant. It's absolutely relevant because this dude was absolutely railroaded. This woman did not feel in any way, shape, or form as though she was a victim. At least there's no evidence to indicate that she felt that she was a victim of TurtleBoy until Ken Mello and Detective Tully got their hooks into her. And this is a very, very important thing, man. This is a very important thing to think about when we're looking at these charges against TurtleBoy. Now, why he's in jail is that he violated his bail by intimidating a witness, and they made her a witness. According to TurtleBoy's testimony, they made her a witness so that they could absolutely throw him in jail. And so TurtleBoy is saying that he's like, I felt bad for her because they put her in this awkward position, this terrible position. Uh-oh. Clever disappeared. Oh. I don't know where he is. There he is. What's up, buddy? Stay here with me. Hold on a second. 1 second. Okay. Now, does anybody know? I honestly don't know. Does anybody know when TurtleBoy is due back in court? I'm curious about that. Yes, and TurtleBoy's live is full of the entire audio. I just don't have a timestamp for it for where we left off. So this Thursday, huh? Okay. And that's not okay. Now, that's another thing to keep in mind is that hearing pertained strictly to it's a civil proceeding. It's not a criminal proceeding. So that pertains strictly to the protective order filed by the alleged victim here. Yeah, I know you guys like this. Clever, come here, buddy. Clever. Come here. All right, we'll finish scratching. Come here, buddy. People are asking about you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, really? You're just going to be a dick? Just stare at me? Watch it. And I'm not going to pay attention to him. And I'm going to start talking to you. And then he's going to like come over here because he's not the center of attention. But now that he's the center of attention, he doesn't care. He's like going to be a diva about it. Right? Little shithead. Come here. Up. No? Okay. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come up here. Come say hi. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. All right, go play. Go play. Yeah, it's true. Like if I get excited about what I'm talking about, he's like, "What's going on?" Yeah. Clever for KTA. Absolutely. He's got my vote. I had something else pulled up just in case something like this happened. and just because I want to hang out with you guys a little while longer. I was in this chat, but I'm gonna pull it up to where I had left the chat and watch it from then on. But you know, it's just because I'm petty and we like to laugh, we like to have fun. So let's watch this. And
so let me bring on Grant Smith. Hello. Hey Grant, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Kevin. How you doing? I just getting home. How's your show going so far?
Oh, well, it was, had to hold it up without you. So, it was a lot of pressure. I feel like Johnny Carson without Ed McMahon there to laugh,
I enjoy watching Johnny Carson's old interviews. I think other than Dick Cavett, I think I've watched him interview people the most.
Yeah, I used to love Johnny Carson, maybe because it was like an excuse to stay up late when I was a kid. Back then, kids had bedtimes. I don't know if they still do, but yeah, I did enjoy, and I do love. I don't watch a lot of Netflix or any of that stuff. I probably should because I'm writing stuff, but I actually get stuck on YouTube clips. That's why I start getting ready to go to bed around 10:30, and I watch YouTube clips for a half hour. Lately, I've been watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
The algorithm knows that you're a fan.
I mean, don't give me this bullshit. Look at her. Like, he's sparking up a blunt, like right there. Don't give me this bullshit. Like, you love looking like you're smoking weed. You like people to know you smoke weed. You like you're like a lot of other YouTube creators that I've seen that just like to show off that you're smoking weed because it makes you look cool. And you're like, yeah, fuck the world. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. I'm smoking weed. Try and stop me. Blah, blah, blah. I'm so cool. But like, when you start using it as an excuse, is when you start using your butt periods as an excuse to smoke weed, the coolness goes right out the window, bro. It's no longer cool anymore. Now, all I see is bloody asshole remedy. That's all I see now. So, like, there's no way for you to look cool smoking weed anymore, bro. There's just there's no way to look cool smoking weed anymore. Like, now it's tied to butt periods, bro. That's it. That's all you got now. It's a shame, bro. It's a shame.
Fan. But yes, let's dive in because there is a lot to discuss. This is actually the first interview I'm doing since the court hearing. I believe it was Thursday at 3 p.m. down in Norfolk Superior. So happy to dive in and talk about whatever you'd like.
Okay, we can start from wherever you want to start, and I will jump in with questions. As you know, even if we're talking privately, I always have questions. So, what was your take on Yannetti's statement, and then the subsequent corrections that came out from the DA and then the U.S. Attorney's Office? Statement.
See what I mean? Look at him lighting that shit up. Just lighting that shit up. You know? Yeah, man. Oh, man. My asshole feels way better now. My asshole is on the road to clotting. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Connotation in the context of a federal investigation. And when you use the word target 4 times, and then both the Norfolk DA and the U.S. Attorney General's office come out with statements saying the Norfolk DA, and in fact, no one was ever a target of this investigation related to the Reed matter. That really is pretty telling. The U.S. Attorney's office, whether it's for Massachusetts or any district, does not make a habit of putting public statements out when there has not been an indictment or something of that nature. That is a very rare. It is rarer than the step that Mr. Yannetti tried to preview during the hearing itself when he suggested that the U.S. AG's office would be releasing files in the case to the Reed side and the Commonwealth side.
I love this.
That would be out of the norm. But what was even?
I love this deep dive that's taking place right here, right? I love this deep dive, right? How come they never talk about, and maybe they do later on, but how come they never talk about the fact that Yali didn't say jack shit? The one dude who's supposed to speak up on this matter when this is going on during this hearing, why aren't they talking about the fact that Yali didn't say jack shit? Nothing. He said nothing. He had no argument. No argument against the defense. None at all.
Was even more out of the norm was the U.S. AG having to, or the U.S. attorney having to correct Mr. Yannetti on the record. I think it was through Ted Daniels at Fox 25. That's
okay. Yeah. So that's not in context here, because I mean we can't talk about this without putting this person's medical condition in context. So on Twitter, someone called him out for smoking weed in front of the courthouse. Because this dude is a reporter, and someone called him out for smoking weed in front of the courthouse, and then he got all butthurt about it. No pun intended there, but he got all butthurt about the fact that they called him out, and he was like, it's never okay. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let me see real quick. It's just very funny to me. So the dude on the right, is is the guy we're talking about here. Unless he took it down, so I don't know. Here we go. So the dude on the right here, let me share it. My man is like adamant. Okay. He's like, it's a big deal. Okay. Grant Smith Ellis. This is his name. It's the dude that was on the right of the screen there talking to Yellowtails. And he says, let's be clear. Let's clear something up right now. It's not okay to tell someone with colitis who will quite literally bleed from their colon if they do not take their medicine before they eat the few calories their body can tolerate per day. How to take their medicine in line with the law. And then he posts this, like, dude, all he had to see, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying, like, sometimes you say too much, bro. I didn't need to know all that about his anus. You know, I didn't need to know all that about his rectum. You know what I mean? Like, he could have just posted that law. That's it. You know, restrictions on personal cultivation. No person shall cultivate or process marijuana plants pursuant to Section 8 of this chapter if the plants are visible from a public place without the use of binoculars, aircraft, or other optical aids, or cultivate or process marijuana plants outside of an area that is equipped with a lock or other security device. The person who violates this subsection shall be punished by a civil penalty of not more than $300 and foreclosure of the marijuana, or forfeiture of the marijuana, excuse me. But shall not be subject to any other form of criminal or civil punishment or disqualification society for this conduct. Now, that's what I'm saying is, like, dude could have just, that's it. He could have just been like, yo, shut the fuck up. Read this and shut the fuck up. I can smoke weed wherever the fuck I want. None of your fucking business. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, restrictions on personal possession. No person shall possess more than 1 ounce of marijuana or marijuana products within the person's place of residence, blah, 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 blah. And then right here is where it comes into play. Restrictions of public consumption of marijuana. No person shall consume marijuana in a public place or smoke marijuana where smoking tobacco is prohibited. A person who violates this subsection shall be punished by a civil penalty of no more than $100. The subsection shall not apply to a person who consumes marijuana or marijuana products in a designated area of marijuana establishment located in a city, town that has voted to allow consumption on the premises where sold, and shall not be construed to limit the medical use of marijuana. Right. So that's what I'm saying, is all he had to do is just post that. He didn't have to go into this whole story about his rectum. You know what I mean? Like now you're just subject to ass jokes, bloody ass jokes, bro. I mean, that's not us, that's you. Now you're subject to bloody ass jokes. So of course I comment and go, just be a man and say you like weed, bro. Jesus fuck, grow a pair, you cuck. Like I said, I've never heard of anything more pathetic in my life. I smoke pot because my asshole bleeds. I had to read the post 3 times because I thought it was a joke. The rest of us smoke weed to laugh at people who make excuses to smoke weed, such as having butt periods. And, you know, then I got Ricky Bobby holding up some Tampax. I mean, dude, I didn't need to know about your bloody asshole. But now that I know about it, in order for me to cope with that knowledge, I turn to humor because I'm human. You know, I deal with trauma with humor, and I'm traumatized by stories of your bloody anus. Okay? I'm traumatized by it. So therefore, I deal with this trauma. I manage my trauma with humor. Okay? It's not my fault. I have a condition. Okay? I have a condition. And this condition, I choose to deal with this condition with humor. My friend. Just saying. Okay?
Statement came out. Very abnormal. Really shows that perhaps Mr. Yannetti, Mr. Jackson, and Ms. Reed are being hung out to dry here. That was my read of that sort of series of events.
So yeah, I don't. You probably didn't hear. I was talking a little bit though about that second part of Yannetti's statement where he said that the feds are going to kind of get them their report within a couple of weeks, and it doesn't. And the DA,
he didn't say report. He said pieces of information from their investigation. He didn't imply there was a report being written or anything.
Right. I'm sorry. Yes, and that's the way I said it. It's basically relevant information to the Karen Reed aspects of whatever they're investigating. And I noticed that the DA and the U.S. Attorney's Office did not correct that. So,
yeah, but I also noticed that Morrissey's letter was originally about not only the federal investigation, but also mentioned that it had state grand jury information in it. That was kind of part of the motion when Morrissey initially tried to impound the letters. So couple that with that very interesting reference in Morrissey's.
He didn't reply. He didn't reply. But I know he saw it.
Motion to withdraw the opposition to releasing the letters, where Morrissey specifically mentioned that it also involves the OIG's Office of Professional Responsibility. Those two things right there, prosecutors don't speak. They use speaking indictments or speaking motions. Those two words, state grand jury and DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility, there's a story there. We just don't know what it is.
Right. You probably don't care to speculate, but obviously we have an idea what the state grand jury is they're talking about, but.
Well, from the TurtleBoy testimony, of course, at the arraignment hearing on, I believe it was January 8th, from 9 a.m. until 4:32 p.m. precisely Eastern time. That was a very long day in court. During that hearing, TurtleBoy and the victim actually both.
I bet it was when you were taking pictures of Bradel's laptop without his knowledge. Yeah, I bet that was a long day.
Testified to this ongoing grand jury. I think TurtleBoy provided more details than the victim. But both indicated that there's an active state grand jury targeting Karen Reed, but also involving TurtleBoy. Now, what's interesting is TurtleBoy said the name Josh Levy on the stand when he was talking about the grand jury. But I have to wonder if that wasn't kind of bait, because it doesn't seem like the state would investigate the U.S. Attorney's Office for Massachusetts. But anyway, that whole situation, I think there is overlap here, obviously, between the TurtleBoy situation, the Karen Reed situation. I investigate the U.S., but I have to wonder if that wasn't kind of bait, because it doesn't seem like the state would investigate the U.S. Attorney's Office for Massachusetts. But
why would the state investigate the U.S. Attorney's Office? Since when does the state or the Commonwealth investigate a federal office? The fuck are you talking about?
But anyway, that whole situation, I think there is overlap here, obviously, between the TurtleBoy situation, the Karen Reed situation, the Alan Jackson, David Yannetti situation, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Massachusetts, both Rachel Rollins and Josh Levy, and the Norfolk DA's office.
Yeah, there's definitely an overlap. Of course there's an overlap. I'm glad you're admitting that.
I think all of these circles, much like Harvard finals clubs are overlapping concentric social circles of influence, all of these circles in these two cases overlapped and intersect. The question is, what is the nexus? What is the locus? And I think you kind of hit on it earlier today, Kevin. Something happened in April or May of 2023 when Karen Reed and her team hooked up TurtleBoy with the FBI. And I think that kind of may be central to TurtleBoy's involvement, but it also may help to explain that maybe Karen Reed's lawyers or Karen Reed or someone in her orbit has really good federal connections as well. So I think we're kind of starting to see a picture emerge here of what might have been happening.
And I just want to say that we don't know for sure that there was an actual connection there. I'll give you what we have. And people, I think, can make the obvious connection, but that doesn't, that's not beyond a reasonable doubt. So on May 5th, 2023, this past May, Aiden was in a situation that he was described as really down in the dumps over this. He was facing a felony charge in Rhode Island. And I'm not going to mention the woman's name, and hopefully she watches the show. I've never had communication with her, so she probably doesn't. But if she does, please reach out to me. And if there's some part of this that I'm missing or I've gotten wrong, please, your name will be kept in confidence and get out to me. But so May 5th, TurtleBoy was down in the dumps about this potential felony case that has nothing to do with the Karen Reed case. And he reached out through Natalie to Karen to say, I'm really down, I need help. And Karen replied back. She sounded like she was actually in a very ebullient mood that day. She's kind of playful. And she said, yeah, AJ is home alone with her, his daughter. He's got nothing to do. Give him a call. And then she said Ajax. And then she sent a picture of an Ajax can. And then finally she said, in case there was any confusion, Alan Jackson. So
she should have used the Amsterdam Soccer Club Ajax. But anyway, sorry, that's where my mind.
So now I also noted that
I don't know what the fuck they're talking
feel the need to say, get in touch with AJ, here's his number.
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about right now.
Because unlike what TurtleBoy was telling you all summer, TurtleBoy already had the number and had been in communication with them. Been in communication with the lawyer since April and with Karen since mid-May, directly with Karen. But at that point, it was May 5th. So at that, it was around May 15th where TurtleBoy started communicating over Signal directly with Karen. But up to that point, it was through Natalie. Now, so did he reach out to Alan Jackson?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. Did he reach out to Alan Jackson and when?
Yeah,
especially
and
if that relationship was first before Karen Reed.
Right. And I just want to let me clear this up quickly, Grant. I don't want to, so people won't get lost in it. So just the timing. So May 5th, that's when those messages went between TurtleBoy and Karen. Okay. Now on June 8th, I'm not going to mention the person's name in case I don't want to, but there are a couple of people that had been in regular contact with this victim in Rhode Island. She had reached out to them, and so she told them that what she thought was a fake FBI person had called her up on the phone and basically scared the crap out of her. All right. And then she went silent, wouldn't talk to anybody. And then she finally reached out to them on June 8th. So on June 8th, she explained all that. And then she said, I didn't know what's, but that's why she said, that's why I've been quiet for 4 weeks. So roughly 4 weeks prior to June 8th is when the FBI agent contacted her. That matches up beautifully with the May 5th.
Okay, I have a problem with what I'm hearing here because he's talking about text messages that took place between Karen Reed and TurtleBoy, right? How does he know? Now, I saw screenshots a few weeks ago, or like even a couple of months ago, I'll even say, that I wasn't sure about. But here's my problem with that. TurtleBoy claims emphatically that he's never been in direct contact with Karen Reed, that he's tried to reach out to her, but she would not respond. That's at least how I remember TurtleBoy describing that. Now, hold on. So I don't know. I have problems with this because A, it sounds like just a blatant fucking lie. And B, it makes no sense that how would he know about those text messages? Who leaked them? If TurtleBoy is emphatic about the fact that he's never been in direct contact with Karen Reed, A, B, who leaked these screenshots of this text thread between him and Karen Reed? Because Karen Reed has nothing to gain and everything to lose by leaking those. So why would she share them with anybody? And why would TurtleBoy? Why would he do that? If Karen Reed is a source, she's the last source that he's going to out. She's the last that she's easily one of his most valuable sources. If he's covering the Karen Reed trial and the murder of John O'Keefe, if he's covering this, Karen Reed is an incredibly valuable source of information. So why would he risk that source by taking screenshots and sharing them with other people? A. B, why would Karen Reed risk her own case, her own freedom, her life by taking screenshots and sharing them with anybody? So I'm wondering who leaked this text thread, because all that does is lead me to believe that if there are screenshots of this text thread, they are fake. They are just simply not Karen Reed and TurtleBoy exchanging any conversation. I don't believe it. Each one has so much to lose by screenshotting their conversations and sharing them with literally anyone. Nobody's getting that. If I have that kind of, dude, I trust Cherry with my channel, okay? But even if I have, like, no matter how much I trust her, if I have a direct communication, a direct line of communication between somebody who is directly involved in a case that I'm covering, I'm not going to take screenshots of that and share them with Cherry. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. So it doesn't make sense to me that TurtleBoy would risk losing, that he would absolutely just destroy a direct line of communication with such a valuable source. It doesn't make sense that he would do that. Sleuthy Goothy says, plus they've always accused him of talking through Signal. I have experience with Signal while my brother has been in deployments, and none of those screenshots are from Signal. Good point. So, I mean, right. They're straight up, they're straight up screenshots. They're ridiculous. I have no reason to believe that they're real. I have no reason, especially if I'm seeing all this dirty shit coming from these people who are doing everything they can to try to destroy TurtleBoy's credibility. Why would I put past the idea? Why would I put the idea that they would manufacture a false text thread? Why would I put that past them? I wouldn't put that past them. That's crazy. Of course, like immediately I'm going to be like, that's bullshit. There's nothing about TurtleBoy in the way that he's conducted himself in this case that would indicate to me that he would risk such a valuable source such as Karen Reed herself. So everything that this guy's saying to me right now is based on absolute bullshit.
Messaging that we just talked about between Karen and Aiden. And we now know, and she also, I'm not going to say it, but we know the name of the FBI agent. It was not a fake. It is a real agent. It's a real agent. So again, we don't know exactly what happened in that call. And I'm not the type to reach out to people that don't want to be bothered. She was scared and went into don't fuck with my life kind of mode because TurtleBoy was sticking his mob on her and her whole family. Because this is what he does. But that's another story. We have to stop this Aidenism before it destroys anyone.
So why did the FBI agent feel the need to go to someone who is being victimized by TurtleBoy? We don't know the answer to that. And we also don't know the answer to the question, why did TurtleBoy and Alan Jackson have communication before?
But the feds didn't do that, though. So these guys are just lying. It was Tully and and Mello, who contacted this alleged victim. There's nothing about feds contacting her. There's nothing about that. The fuck are these guys talking about?
Or TurtleBoy was linked to Karen through Natalie. Am I right about that?
No, that communication didn't, as far as I know, didn't come until after the first story broke on April 18th. And then so sometime over the next couple of weeks, the communication became more direct.
TurtleBoy's first story, and you're saying Jackson reached out for the first time after that.
Yeah, I don't know the exact dates of that, but you can see from the May 5th thing that obviously
You see how every time this dude hits his blunt, you know, he tries to make sure that he's in view of the camera, you know, that the microphone and the mic screen are not blocking, or, you know, your view of him being able to look cool hitting a blunt. But all I see when he leans to the side like that, when he goes, I just see, I see a dude that's like adjusting his chair because there's butt bleeding possibly going on. He's just kind of like, fuck, man, this bloody asshole is just a real inconvenience. Damn it. You know, like you fucked up your whole attempt to look cool smoking weed, bro. Like, you fucked it up. Now I just see the inconvenience of a bloody asshole and a man trying to deal with it. It's a shame, bro. I'm sorry. Like, condolences to your looking cool smoking weed. Condolences to that. It's all gone, bro. Now you're just adjusting your butt because of the discomfort that's taking place from your colon. It's a bummer. That's, again, no pun intended. Bummer. It's a bloody bummer.
TurtleBoy didn't ask for Alan's number. He already had it. So they'd already been calling.
Oh,
and I can tell you, even just
God,
in
I need to be
at the end of July, TurtleBoy reached out to me. He said, Alan Jackson wants
just lock me up with TurtleBoy. You might as well, bro. I need to be in detention
to talk to you. And he gave me Alan Jackson's number. And I texted Alan Jackson. I said, this is Kevin from Yellow Cottage Tales. I understand you want to talk to me. I said, I'm happy to talk to you. However, you should know that I'm always going to cover this neutrally and objectively. And he said, that's okay. I respect that. I'd still like to touch base with you. I'm traveling tomorrow, but I'll call you the next day. He never actually did call me. So I never have spoken to Alan Jackson. But I do still have that message. But,
well, no, they definitely had a meeting about that. My read of that is they had a meeting about it. And the result was, no, we're not going to talk to Kevin.
They knew that they wanted to shut me up, but they could tell I was not going to be shut up. I'm going to ask questions. That's it. You're not going to intimidate me.
Thank you for the cash app, Jody.
Yeah, I would generally say it is not. Some people who make an approach to threaten someone are normally going to profile them first. I don't get the sense that that would have worked with you. So I think they probably were thinking of that as more of a, oh, let's see if we can swing him to believe this version of the events kind of thing. And then the calculus would have been, well, there's no way that we're going to be able to manipulate him. So why would we even talk to him? Because he'll use it against us later. That's how I would have game planned it.
Right. And at that time, I was very much on the fence. I was kind of 50-50. And if you caught me on a certain day, I might be 55-45. And then the other day, I'd be 45. But you can I'm just going to keep asking those questions. And I'm just not going to believe what somebody tells me. And to me, it's just common sense, too. You get, to me, even if there was a massive conspiracy, but you don't know, you start out, you're getting all of your information from one source, TurtleBoy, that clearly was an advocate and was making a lot of money off it. That doesn't mean he's lying automatically. But if you just accept that and don't seek out other sources, you're not really interested in truth. But go ahead.
Well, a few things. One, it does seem like there's a lot of My Fair Ladying going on. That old movie or book there, My Fair Lady, which is an apocryphal tale or anecdotal tale, maybe apocryphal, about how you can engage in diplomacy with honey or vinegar. And My Fair Lady is by using honey. But the other thing that I think really is central to all of this is who's under whose thumb. Is Reed under TurtleBoy's thumb? Is TurtleBoy under Reed's thumb? Is everybody under everybody's thumb? I've said this has it's not, I called it stupid mafia vibes before, but I think it's something worse. I think it's an appropriation of like people who are on the periphery of higher levels of government, and it's kind of like watching the movie Eyes Wide Shut and realizing the pianist always is blindfolded when he gets invited to the high society fashion parties. It's kind of like someone like that who only has the first level password to some of these clubs, but has picked up some of their tactics and is weaponizing them. And a lot of that centers around honeypots, blackmail, revenge porn, threats, a lot of the stuff we're seeing here. But the thing is, this isn't stuff that's supposed to be in the hands of, I don't know how to describe these human beings, but they are not high-level political operatives. Maybe Mr. Jackson and Mr. Yannetti and some of the folks in the Reed orbit are, but the games that these folks are playing and weaponizing sexual conduct in this way, and this is stuff of like high-level diplomacy. It is not Massachusetts regional murder case of a Boston police officer. There's some disconnect here between the tactics we're seeing and what happened.
Yeah, it's and what worries me is that we won't get to the bottom of it, because if there's anything wrongdoing on the part of Josh Levy or anything, just something he's embarrassing about, he's in the position to largely control what gets released and what doesn't. I know there's the OIG and the ethics office and things like that. So there is some hope we can place on. And again, I'm not accusing Josh of any wrongdoing. I don't know, but these guys will always try to cover their own asses. So,
well, the U.S. attorney, if we're speaking about Mr. Levy, I have a disability where I can't swallow air right, so I burp sometimes. If we're talking about the U.S. attorney, wasn't it Mr. Levy when he was the first assistant U.S. attorney under Rachel Rollins, who was approached by Rachel Rollins and asked to open a pretextual investigation into Kevin Hayden to punish
I'm not even
Hayden for beating Ricardo Arroyo? And
listen, full disclosure, y'all, I'm not even fucking listening to these fucking morons anymore. I'm just listening to this dude fucking spray blood out of his ass. That's all I'm doing at this point.
And didn't first U.S. Assistant Attorney Levy not say anything at the time and not report it until way after the fact when an investigation into Rollins happened? Now, I have a theory on all of this. What if Mr. Yannetti and Mr. Jackson and Mr. Levy are connected? And what if Mr. Levy wanted Miss Rollins' job? That, I think, would maybe explain why Karen Reed's defense team has so many friends in this office. But I don't even know if that explains it.
All right, yeah, because I'm not even paying attention. So Snake Devil is the abuser. Thank you. Pay you to fast forward to when Plevin asks Bungholio what he wants to do when he grows up. I don't know what the timestamp is on that, but I'm down. Bro, listen, Grant, you do this to yourself, my friend. I have a disability where I swallow air. Oh my God, bro. Dude, I can't feel bad for you, dude. Like, I just can't. Like, I can't feel bad for you, guy.
Because just doing someone a favor doesn't justify opening a federal probe. Trying to do that is what got Rachel Rollins fired, in fact.
Right.
If you have a
timestamp, I think there's something potentially to that, and he now has her job.
If you have a timestamp for that, I'll fast forward to it. But I can't fast forward to something that I don't know where it is.
Right. But again, to actually be manipulating behind the scenes in some Machiavellian way, it doesn't seem to match the pedigree of a guy of his education and his elite level of being a lawyer. So I'm a little skeptical of that. But, the thing is, too, Grant, is you always, every day is a new chance to do the right thing, to let, it's not just about your political life or your own personal ambitions, anything, starting a YouTube channel, whatever. Every chance is a day to look in the mirror. And actually, I think I want to hear you talk about this, too. So Mike Crawford did that last week. Whatever his motives were, how that came about, and he did talk about you, too. He did do that. So every day is a chance, and he talked about it as being a result of self-reflection. And I think it's a chance for the feds to do that too, if they're not corrupt. If someone like Josh Levy is a guy that has a reputation, of being a straight guy, it's a chance to come clean. Will he do it? But what do you think?
Well, two things to the latter point about Levy, U.S. Attorney Levy. I normally wouldn't say, oh, well, because there was something weird going on in the FBI and the DOJ, that automatically means that the U.S. attorney was involved, whether he was first assistant back then or U.S. attorney now. But what's weird about this is why Reed was saying things about Levy being involved. And there that from I'm talking back to 2022 now. So that that kind of, it's not that it puts the Machiavellian, to use your word, theory more forefront for me, but it just raises more questions that I don't have answers to. On the Mike Crawford,
and I think. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Well, on the Mike Crawford thing, I don't know. I've talked about it before. We used to work together. We definitely had an acrimonious falling out. I don't like how he takes advantage of people's volunteer labor and then parades around as the champion of workers when he doesn't, have his own house in order. But I also think, like, I am not. If you do something morally egregious, like hurt children or abuse women, I will hold a grudge and spend my entire life trying to ruin you. But if you are just a, I don't know, idiot who is self-centered and greedy, and you want to repent, I'm not going to deny you Jesus's love because you've like personally hurt me in the past. So that's where I came down on Mike Crawford. Do I think he's terrified? Yeah. Should he be, because of what he did on December 25th between 5:25 p.m. Eastern and 11:37 p.m. Eastern or whatever it was regarding that videotape? Yeah, he should be fucking terrified. But that's if the come to Jesus moment is because the
that was there that saw something unusual. But I think more than likely it needs.
Oh, you're talking about to the whistleblower to the feds.
To the whistleblower that would have got Josh Levy and the feds gave them the predication they needed to investigate this case.
And you're talking about in 2022?
2022. So long before the data came out from phones or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes your theory carry a lot more water because there aren't who would have even had the reason to do that. Well, Karen Reed clearly knew somebody did this. So what you're saying is the whistleblower had to be in the.
You know what's it's so annoying to me. One of the most annoying things about following crime cases and listening to people talk about it, like people with YouTube channels talk about it, or people who actually have a stronger vocabulary than myself, just say absolutely fucking nothing. It's really irritating when they actually have the ability to actually do thinking. Like you have this vocabulary, but you refuse to apply it towards anything that's worth fucking listening to. Like everything that you're saying is absolute bullshit, but it's just killing me. Heavy Holler, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Be in the orbit probably of Reed and then go to the AG, the U.S.
No, what I'm saying is well, yeah, so they may have reached out to Reed, sure, yeah. So what I'm saying is let's say you have either a DA with a U.S. attorney with a political motive to go after the DA, or you had some attorneys in the U.S. attorney's office, Josh Levy or somebody else that wanted to do Yannetti or Jackson the Solid. They still need something in order to ground that investigation. And it doesn't seem like anything is there. You've got the autopsy photos, but that doesn't seem strong enough because you have the medical reports that say he wasn't in a fight. So
unless it was. Well, unless it wasn't the Karen Reed case, like unless there was already something being looked at and then this was just kind of added on. That would seem to be the most logical.
Well, I entertained that for myself for months going back to this summer. But then when hearing how the way Josh Levy grilled to the point of bringing one of the witnesses to tears, this was not them just doing due diligence related to some other case. The Karen Reed investigation was in focus. I don't think there's any. I think that's pretty clear to me anyways. So to me, that's why I would think maybe they had a whistleblower that they could at least say, all right, we got this person in the room. He's signing the papers. He's seen or heard a few odd things. And that might be enough to give them what they wanted, which was the investigation for whatever reason.
Yeah, but that even descriptively, that doesn't really answer the why is there so much anger at Michael Morrissey by the USAG. It can't just be that Morrissey's former staffer is married to somebody in the public corruptions unit. Like somebody doesn't like Michael Morrissey, and it's not just Rachel Rollins. And I can't really figure out why. But it's
what are you basing that on? What's the evidence that?
Because nothing would make sense. Nothing makes sense about why the federal probe transitioned from Rollins to Levy when almost every other probe in that in the political context that happened under Rollins was subject to intense OIG scrutiny. So there's only there's only one way that this probe could continue forward from Rollins to Levy, and that's if it withstood some kind of scrutiny. And unless the scrutiny is from another parallel situation involving the Canton police and the Norfolk DA, which is possible, then the only other option is someone really dislikes Michael Morrissey in the political chain of command.
We passed it. Like I'm at 122.35. So I don't know, Snake Devil. I appreciate the super chats. I really do. I just don't. I tried to fast forward it to that point, but I didn't hear anything. I'm past that timestamp now. but I want to hear what you're talking about. I really do.
Let me give you another piece of the puzzle. So after Ted Daniels' his first story on this, on the feds, which was maybe early December, the next day, TurtleBoy published something in TV Daily News. Which he said Rachel Rollins did not initiate the.
It's fucking impossible for me to take these dudes seriously, bro. Like either one of them. It's straight fucking impossible for me to take either one of these dudes seriously. Like I can't do it. Like I just can't do it.
This investigation. Now, when I looked at that, I started entertaining ideas of maybe he has a mole inside the U.S. Attorney's office. Maybe he's even a CI for the FBI. I no longer believe those things. I think what happened was now, since I've listened to what the messages that Natalie was a go-between for, and when Karen was telling him that Josh Levy is making an exception in quotes and getting involved in this. So Karen was the source for TurtleBoy, and Karen obviously told TurtleBoy that Josh Levy is their man in the feds.
Yeah, but you're ignoring the obvious, which is that TurtleBoy and Rachel Rollins never stopped talking.
That may be, they were, in his words, she weaponized him back in the 2020 election. So maybe.
They kept talking. They kept talking. There is no doubt in my mind that Rachel Rollins and TurtleBoy had a channel of communication. Starting with Rayla Campbell.
All right, I got it now. I got it now.
Mary outside BAPS Library at BC when I was a graduate student. And I'll never forget
international issues. What are you thinking? Where aim high? What do you make your dreams, at least lay your dreams out there so you might have a chance to reach them.
Oh, well, so originally I wanted to become a Jesuit priest so I could go to Rome, become a member of the Curia, and then get close to the Pope so I could benevolently influence world policy and the furtherance of human rights. So that's kind of like where I wanted to get to initially. So ever since I've split from that path, now like law school professor, I think would be okay. I'd be okay with doing some journalism. If like the government wants to come and recruit me and take me into the bowels of their system, I'm totally happy with that.
Bro, did you just say, you did not just say the bowels of the system, did you? Uh-oh. I'm such a child. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, lock me up.
With that, I'm open to all sorts of things, but I really need to be used in a benevolent way to provide a check and balance against the worst inclinations of humanity, I think.
What about podcasting or anything
like that? Did not just say all that out loud.
This is kind of like what I do to relax. So other than my broadcasting of the regulatory hearings,
this is what I do to keep my mom from booting me out. This is my way of telling her that I have a job.
I'll go on, get shows or whatnot whenever someone needs me, but I'm not like an administrative person. Like I don't like to set things up. I don't want to build a brand.
Get out of town.
I don't really do things on a set schedule. I just am in it 24/7, 365. So no, I don't think I'm going to do like something structured. I think you can expect just more fire hose of information all the time.
No.
And it doesn't have to be structured. Trust me, you never know when I'm coming on. I don't have a set day or time. So if you launch your own channel, you just go on and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
In your
and if you're like me, your mic comes undone and all kinds of technical shit happens. But so but it can be rewarding, but it also sometimes can be, I don't know if I'd say stressful, more just you're burning energy that you might rather use for something else. Because I'm a writer, I'd rather be doing some of the projects that I'm working on.
The poor guy, bro, like his asshole is one big artery, bro. It's just severed. That's gotta suck, bro. I'd smoke weed too. Not to stop the bleeding, though.
But I still do enjoy doing it to a degree. I never saw myself as wanting to be behind a mic or into journalism or anything like that. But at least as far as covering this case, I'm going to do it until hopefully the cows come home. And I'd like to see him come home soon, but hopefully it may not. I don't know. Hopefully the trial does actually go on in March, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. I think obviously the next date is there's going to be some TurtleBoy court dates in the interim, although he's not getting out of jail anytime soon, at least within the next.
Start from the beginning, VK, sir. Start from the beginning. Start from the beginning. Sit your hubby down. Sit Hubs down and be like, listen. So this dude posted on Twitter that somebody ridiculed him or they scolded him for smoking weed in front of the courthouse. And he posted on Twitter that the reason why he smokes weed is because it stops his asshole from bleeding. Okay? That's But I'm gonna feel really bad if this dude like ends up in the hospital and needs a blood transfusion due to fucking asshole bleeding. Like, I'm gonna feel bad. But I'm saying though, I mean, if you read that shit online, like one of those random man was hospitalized because his anus was bleeding and he tried to smoke enough pot to stop the bleeding, but unfortunately the marijuana intake fell short and this poor man needed several blood transfusions due to the fact that the marijuana did not stop the bleeding as he thought it would. More at 11.
Next 30 days. Then, of course, the Karen Reed pre-trials will be the 15th and then the 26th, I think, of February, and then the trial scheduled to start the 12th of March. There are a lot of moving pieces here. I was saying this earlier on Twitter today. If Miss Reed had an ounce of compassion in her body, or even some, I mean, she's very intelligent, but if she had some semblance of rational thought left, which I hope she does, despite the stress, which must be very overwhelming, she would plead.
So empathetic.
If she hit him by accident,
he's so empathetic. His ass bleeds for Karen Reed. I mean, I'm sorry, his heart bleeds for Karen Reed.
She should stand up and give the family the closure they deserve. And she, Karen Reed, is the person who holds in her hands the ability to finally put this tormented mob of morons out of their misery and protect the innocent lives that have suffered needlessly over the past few years, just to try to buy Karen Reed this long shot bid at beating these charges by undermining the jury pool. She should allocute and she should take the plea to manslaughter. I don't know why she won't, other than pride, but she should.
And that's, you know, for me too, I understand. I can sympathize with the idea.
All right. All right. All ass bleeding aside, bro. The reason why she doesn't take a plea is A, she's innocent, but that's a matter of opinion. But the reason why is because it's the Massachusetts State Troopers and the District Attorney's Office of Norfolk County. It is their fault for conducting a faulty investigation. If you were on trial for your life and you had attorneys like Yannetti, like Jackson, there's no way you take a plea deal. There's no fucking way. I mean, the fact is that you can sit here and you can blame Karen Reed all day. But the reason why I'm sitting here doubting whether or not she did it is not because of her. I'm doubting the reason why I'm doubting Karen Reed's guilt is because of how the investigation was conducted. So you can thank the Massachusetts State Police as well as Norfolk County District Attorney's Office for that. That's not Karen Reed's fault. That's their fault. So, I mean, I don't know what you're sitting up here whining about, bro.
Idea of trying to create this applies to the defense lawyers too, of trying to create a possible third party culprit theory. But when you start pointing the finger, when you're using lies in order to point your finger at innocent people, such as an 18-year-old, well, he was 17 at the time of John's death, and I think he's probably 19 now, but an innocent kid, and you're trying to smear him as a murderer and potentially ruin his life, I really can't even justify defense attorneys doing that. I don't think it's really, it's not honorable. It's not, I understand you have to do your best to defend your client, but I don't think smearing innocent people.
Yo, make sure to sub up to Microdots. If you're not subbed up to Microdots, it's because you're living in a cave. But sub up to Microdots regardless. Microdots, thank you. Microdots says, wave goodbye to their credibility. Agreed. Absolutely. It's gone. It's absolutely gone.
People should be something that's acceptable. But
well, I think really what it comes down to is whether it was done knowingly. Like, there's a reason why the standard is actual malice in the context of public figures, at least. I'm not going to go into details on it. I'm just going to explain on a general level that if a lawyer, you can't knowingly get someone off who's guilty. Like, that's the line. If that's really the line. Like if your client tells you that they're guilty and you lie about it, that's a problem. But there's always this tension because your client might be like, I didn't do it, with a wink, or your client might be like, I didn't do it, and you might happen to know they did it, right? Those are three different situations, each calling for a different ethical response. Now, I'll tell you, lawyers, it's not up to the lawyer whether they stay on a case. Did you know this?
I know in rare examples, and we just saw this in the Delphi murders, they had the lawyers pulled, but they were just reinstated by the Supreme Court out there in Indiana this week. Hearing was the same day as the one in Delphi, and I listened to that hearing too. And so it's going to be extremely rare for lawyers to be taken off a case where the client wants to retain those lawyers.
Okay,
and they want to stay with the client. So
I was 100% convinced that these two fools didn't know what the fuck they were talking about until about 30 seconds ago when I was 150% convinced.
Now, I'll tell you, lawyers, it's not up to the lawyer whether they stay on a case. Did you know this?
Hold on, let me go back a little.
I know in rare examples, and we just saw this
let
in the
me go
Delphi
back a
murders,
little
they had the lawyers pulled, but they were just reinstated by the Supreme Court out there. Something that's acceptable. Do your best to defend your client, but I don't think smearing innocent people should be something that's acceptable. But
well, I think really what it comes down to is whether it was done knowingly. Like, there's a reason why the standard is actual malice in the context of public figures, at least. I'm not going to go into details on it. I'm just going to explain on a general level that if a lawyer, you can't knowingly get someone off who's guilty. Like, that's the line. If that's really the,
you can absolutely do that as a defense attorney. That's why attorney-client privilege exists, dude. Okay? The reason why attorney-client privilege exists is because that lawyer has the right. It is their job to do whatever it takes to defend their client. That means that person on trial, that defendant, can confide in their lawyer and say, I totally fucking did that shit. I totally fucking did that shit. And it's the lawyer's job under their employ, under retainer, it is that lawyer's job to go, all right, well, let's see if we can make sure that you don't go to jail for it. Let's see how I can disprove, because the burden of proof is on the prosecution. Okay? So all they have to do is create doubt. That's all they have to do. But that's their job. That's their job. That's the reason why attorney-client privilege exists, is so that client, that defense client, can confide in their defense attorney and say, I'm laying it all out for you, so that they can effectively defend them in court. What the fuck are you talking about? That they can't do that? Of course they can do that. Of course they can do that. Why do you think lawyers get such a bad rap? Because they get to lie with impunity. They absolutely can lie. They could look a jury straight in the face and fucking lie. A defense attorney can absolutely do that. It's their job to do it. Not only can they do it, it's their job to do it. They could get disbarred for not effectively doing their job to defend their client. Right. OJ was innocent? Really? Okay. Defense lawyer 101, straight up, dude. Like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? Now you guys know why all I hear is blood farts coming out of this dude. That's it. That's all. Nothing. This dude does not know what the fuck he's talking about. This guy on my channel right now serves more of a purpose of making fun of for bloody farts than hearing what he actually has to say. That's fucking crazy. You're more useful to my audience as the butt of bloody fart jokes than any of your insight. That's insane, dude. Like, that's crazy. Blarts. That's insane. That is how useful you are. That is how much merit the things coming out of your mouth have, because the things coming out of your ass is more useful to everyone here listening than the things coming out of your mouth. It serves a higher purpose. Laughter, humor. So congratulations on that, bro. Congratulations.
The line.
Wow.
Like if your client tells you that they're guilty and you lie about it, that's a problem.
No, it's
So,
not.
but there's always this
All doing
tension
your
because
job.
your client might be like, I didn't do it, with a wink, you know, or your client might be like, I didn't do it, and you might happen to know they did it, right? Those are three different situations, each calling for a different ethical response. Now, I'll tell you, lawyers, it's not up to the lawyer whether they stay on a case.
I don't have a roll of brawn stuffed in my ass.
Did you know this?
Oh my God.
I know in rare examples, and we just saw this in the Delphi murders, they had the lawyers pulled, but they were just reinstated by the Supreme Court out there in Indiana this week. Hearing was the same day as the one in Delphi. And I listened to that hearing too. And so it's going to be extremely rare for lawyers to be taken off a case where the client wants to retain those lawyers and they want to
Correct.
and they want to stay with the client. So,
and it basically only happens in the context of the court feeling that the integrity of the process was undermined. It's basically like an extreme sanction for a lawyer.
Yeah.
But and I think that people should understand this because it's pretty obvious. Whether you're a journalist, a lawyer, a citizen, a cop, it doesn't matter. All of the laws apply to you at all times. And I think people have this very wishy-washy conception of like, well, lawyers are just criminals who wear suits and know how to get people off. No, the profession of being a lawyer is not engaging in RICO conspiracies with the mob. That like that's an example. Like that, people who do that get a very bad reputation. And it's kind.
Bro, are you fucking stupid or what, bro? Like, the reason why these lawyers play such a prominent role in these RICO conspiracies is because of attorney-client privilege. They can know these things. And you can't touch the mob. You cannot touch someone in the mob for things that they confided in their lawyer about. That's why they do it. That's the whole point. The whole point is so that they could tell their lawyer, yeah, I fucking did it. It's your job to fucking make sure that I don't go to jail over it. Fucking get that done. I'm paying you a lot of money. Make sure I don't go to jail for it. They can absolutely do that. I guarantee you that if Karen Reed is guilty of this crime, she told Yannetti and Jackson that she's guilty of it. Guaranteed. Because if they do not, even if they recuse themselves, dude, didn't you see The Devil's Advocate? Like the fucking the bad movie with Keanu Reeves playing a lawyer with a fucking Gainesville Southern accent. Like, you didn't see that? The whole point of that movie was that at the very end of the movie, spoiler alert, excuse me, but at the very end of that movie, I mean, fast forward past the part where he's trying to cope with the fact that Al Pacino is the devil and his dad. You know, where does he sleep? Who says he sleeps? Well, where does he fuck? Everywhere. Past all that shit, right? You get to the end of the movie, and he's right back at where he was at the beginning of the movie, defending a child molester, a teacher who was molesting his student, and she sat on the stand, and then he saw that he was sitting there touching himself inappropriately as she testified, describing exactly what happened to her, right? And so he recuses himself. He says, I can no longer defend my client. But what you take away from that, as far as my point here goes, is they say, well, he's finished. Keanu Reeves' character is absolutely finished as a lawyer because he failed to defend his client. He did not meet up He did not live up to what he swore to do as an attorney, as a defense attorney. He recused himself from the case and said, I can no longer defend my client. So therefore, he's risking being disbarred. And he said, fuck it, fuck my career, fuck everything. He's risking being disbarred for not effectively defending his client, regardless of what he knew about his client's guilt. What the fuck are you talking about? Watch a movie, bro. I'm sitting here I'm giving you an out on movies, with a movie reference. I'm giving you it out from your stupidity. Watch The Devil's Advocate. That's the whole point.
Kind of starting to resemble that here, where there were some tactics used here that weren't, outright, shooting witnesses in the back of the head and throwing them in trunks of cars, thank God, but induced a very similar level of psychological terror. I mean, I don't think people really have come to terms with that, because nothing in terms of consequences for what those victims and witnesses suffered is going to fully come to bear until this criminal process is over. But there's going to, I don't know, I wouldn't predict one civil process coming out of this. I'd predict like 77 civil suits coming out of this.
I think it's very difficult to prove some of these things. For instance, in Aiden's case last week, so his lawyer sent 2 private eyes. I'm not going to say the victim's name. I think we probably could say it because it's been highly publicized. But to the victim's house the morning she was supposed to testify in court, or be in court for Aiden's arraignment. And not only that, but somebody sent investigators from the DCF, Department of Child and Family Welfare. And TurtleBoy is known to have a mole inside DCF, because he's always, one of his ways of digging dirt on people involves any family issues, with your kids and stuff like that. So there was clearly a central plan here to try to prevent her from testifying. And I was getting reports that morning, she's not in court, blah, blah, blah. So, but you'll never be able to prove that that's why they sent those guys there, unless you could actually get one of those private eyes to say, yes, we were told to try to stop her. But that's no one's stupid enough to do that. So I just think it's going to be very difficult to prove wrongdoing in these cases on the lawyers.
Well, that's a very specific example of wrongdoing. But remember, a lot of things. First of all, let's talk released audio footage of a court hearing that had legally redacted sidebars included. And they can tell me all they want. They tried to edit the sidebars out. They didn't edit the one out at the clip at the timestamp 1 hour, 33 minutes and 25 seconds of the clip TurtleBoy put up of the hearing. That included legally privileged sidebar material about the threats that were sent to the children of the victim in that domestic violence restraining order hearing, which, by the way, the victim met her burden and the restraining order was extended by a year by the fact finder, a separate fact finder to the judge who issued the first 10-day restraining order in the case, by the way. That sidebar should never, ever have been produced in that form. It should never have been promulgated to the public. But as a result, it is now very clear that exactly what you said is true. But let's back up a little bit. It's not just about whether the investigators who went to the victim's home on the morning that the victim was supposed to go into court could be in some trouble. It is that we may have a situation where, as you mentioned, DCF and other agencies have been being weaponized. But here's where I was getting to with the silver lining and all this. I can assure you, I don't have anything to confirm it, but I can assure you that somebody from that courthouse, probably the judge, called multiple state agencies that day and said, why is my witness being subject to this harassment while she's in my courtroom? How has this structure fallen so far that you all have become a tool of targeting my witness? I want an answer. That's what I would have done if I was a judge. But one gets the vibe that maybe that's what it took for the system to get kind of shaken into realizing that something was very wrong. To that point, just a few days later, did the Massachusetts House not vote 159 or 1-0 to pass the Revenge Porn Act? So I think the reality is that this stuff, the behavior of Mr. Kearney and those in his orbit and Ms. Reed was being enabled by, I don't know, a fearful, complacent, enabling governmental apparatus that is now facing its judgment day.
And I've heard from numerous people in the press and in law enforcement and other things that basically are saying that they and other people are afraid to take on anything to do with Aiden Kearney, because, in fact, I even have been told they had a hard time finding a prosecutor, a special prosecutor, because nobody wants to take on that blog. And so what he's done is knowingly created a mob, and that's what he turned on the victim in Rhode Island. But apparently, to some degree, this has been enabled by people that should know better, that are listening to this channel right now. Some of them that should have a sense of decency to know that this is wrong, but also by perhaps the FBI.
Yeah, we're the bad guys because we don't have a sense of decency. We know this is no. We know that you're full of shit, bro.
No offense, but you are a stupid asshole.
I mean, Ron Burgundy. Facts.
Agents that interfered, and who knows what else. And there's a lot of people that work for these agencies that defend or are a part of his mob. They're part of his mob. So let's wrap it up there. Unless you, but go ahead, finish, say whatever you want. We got time, so go ahead.
Well, no, I think that is a good place to kind of naturally conclude because
listen, I only belong to one mob, bro. All right? There's only one leader of my mob, folks.
And his name is John C.
Get your shit straight, bro. Get your facts straight.
Motherfucker. I really don't understand the fatal attraction here. This man ruins lives, and maybe Karen Reed and TurtleBoy are similar, and they deserve each other's shared fate in some regard. Because when you have such a myopic, self-centered approach to interacting with the polity, it's not like your individual life. This is not high school drama. You're threatening the integrity of the republic, of something that people have died for, of something that people dedicate their entire lives to protecting. And you may
He's in jail protecting it. What the fuck are you talking about?
be able to, in the short term, create this static to noise ratio that undermines the work that those people are doing. But make no mistake, they are not afraid of Mr. Kearney. They may have been outpositioned by Mr. Kearney through some horrific breakdown in our structure of justice, our system of justice. But I don't think they're afraid of Mr. Kearney. It's just a matter now of how the chips are going to fall and then who they're going to crush on the way down. And I think we can already starting to see it happen. There were people who weren't at that Karen Reed hearing on Thursday that are normally always there. I don't know what that means, but and coupled with the way Crawford was acting and the timeline, there's just a lot of criminal exposure here for a lot of.
Why don't you know what it means, Grant? Why don't you know what it means?
I'm retarded?
That would explain it. That would explain it. Okay, just check it.
A lot of people, and it's more just a question of how many of them are going to get cuffed, I think, at this point. So, yeah, ironic, right? They spent 18 months threatening these, witnesses and victims with this psychological terror, and now it's them who must go to sleep every night wondering if the knock's coming for them the next morning. And that, I believe, is how God dishes out punishment. So, I don't know. Dwell
Guys,
on that.
I want to thank you very much, Grant. I appreciate it as always. Learn a lot as always. Guys, I want to just close with this too. We need you. I don't mean this channel. I mean society needs you to step up, do the right thing, stand up to this mob, stand up to these tactics. And I'm talking particularly about those of you who maybe think that Karen might have gotten railroaded here. But you need to stop and look at what the tactics are here of these people and say that enough. Decent people don't go along with this. So yes, you want justice for Karen and you want justice for, I hope you want justice for John.
Oh my God, I don't care.
Seriously, bro. Like, dude.
Get the fuck out.
Okay, folks. That's it. I've had my fill of Plevin and butt bleeder. I'm over it. I'm done. People, I love you guys a lot, man. You guys are fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with me on this Sunday afternoon. I hope the very short rest of your weekend goes well. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the likes. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. And those of you who are subscribers now and weren't before, I appreciate you. Thank you to those who are subscribers and have been. You guys are amazing. I love you guys very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.